Some early afternoon showers have come and gone, making way for a perfect December night for football in Denton, Texas. Tonight, the Mean Green of North Texas close out the 2020 regular season with a much-awaited in-state bout with the UTEP Miners as we welcome you to Apogee Stadium and ESPN's coverage of college football here on a Friday night alongside the former Mean Green linebacker, Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans, bringing you a game that was originally scheduled, Heckma, for October, but tonight as we move into December, it holds just as much postseason weight.
Yeah, there are some major ramifications for UTEP, who has to get a victory here to qualify for a bowl berth. And all of that is going to come on the arm of Gavin Hardison. This guy has a big arm. It's not enough to say it. This kid has a hollister. And when we talked to Coach Dimmel about his sophomore redshirt quarterback, he said it's all about him grasping the complexity of the Miners' offense and them implementing each week plays that he's able to execute on game day.
When he's talked about the football IQ at the quarterback position, even for a young guy, is very high. The footwork is something to work on, but his arm kind of gets him out of trouble.
Yeah, mechanics is there, and when we talked to him one-on-one, he said it. He admitted, hey, I rely on my arm strength a lot, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. I have to be better today.
They're looking for their first bowl berth since 2014. They'll have to do so against the top 10 offense, and one of the biggest weapons is Jalen Darden.
Jalen Darden is the name that you have to circle, underline, and highlight because he is a special talent here in North Texas. And I mean to tell you, it's not enough to talk about his skill and ability, but he is a distinguished route runner. When I say, Kyle, distinguished, I mean like leather patches on a smoking jacket, distinguished. He is that dude, and he has done everything the right way here in Denton.
Had a big week as well off the field as he was named a Bolitnikoff Award semifinalist, one of 11 semifinalists across the country, including guys from every conference, the SEC, Big 12, and above, and it's because of the numbers he's put up in just 8 games.
Yeah, you have to keep that in context. He's done that in 8 games, and that just makes it so much more special, especially with the ball club that have had to deal with so many cancellations. But again, Jalen Darden is so special, and you'll see that tonight.
A top 10 offense from North Texas taking on UTEP. It's the 29th all-time meeting between the Miners and the Mean Green. Kickoff is next on ESPN. A beautiful night here in Denton, Texas. Apogee Stadium hosting Conference USA football in what is now week 15 of the 2020 season. A 2020 season full of unpredictability, and that continues even until tonight as UTEP, moments before kickoff here in Denton, had the news that Gavin Hardison is ineligible for the game today due to COVID-19 contract tracing. So they go with Calvin Brownholtz, the sophomore out of California. Just 11 career pass attempts for the Miners, 59 yards, a long completion of 11 yards. He had not run with the ones, Heckma Harrison, but he's back as a one here tonight.
This is the most 2020 thing that happened to us. Right before kickoff, we get this news. But based off of those stats that you just gave me, Kyle, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Calvin Brownholtz has his personal best today.
Well, we're ready for action here from Denton, Texas. 2 3-win teams and bowl eligibility on the line tonight. All the way back to his own goal line is Don Jr. On the return, he shakes a man and he comes to the near side where he is tripped up at the 25-yard line. North Texas wearing the all-whites today because they are the road team, even in their own stadium. UTEP is technically supposed to have this as a home game. This was moved from El Paso to Denton this week due to COVID-19 concerns. So North Texas won the toss because they got to call the toss, so we'll have an early opportunity to see Calvin Brownholtz under center.
Yeah, both of these teams are chomping at the bit to get this game underway. It's been canceled, rescheduled a few times now. So for both of these teams, and especially again for UTEP, this is a special night.
Brownholtz has seen action in 7 games this season. He starts out in the pistol, turns things around to the starting tailback as we'll look at some of the starters on this UTEP offense. Deion Hankins, a.k.a. Hank the Tank, gets his first carry, the redshirt freshman out of North Little Rock, Arkansas. And that is an old school type of back for the Miners. And Coach Dimmel this weekend actually compared him to one former DFW star, Emmitt Smith.
He did, and I thought that was some, wow, that's some high praise to put on your redshirt freshman running back, and he just talked about the wide base that he runs with, and he's a guy that's north and south and always falling forward.
UTEP offensively 109th in terms of the rushing yards per game this season. They give it again to Hankins, and he gets about 3 yards. Makes it 3rd down and short here on the first drive of the ball game. North Texas defensively, though, they've had their fair share of problems this season. In the bottom 5 in both rushing yards allowed per game and in total yardage allowed per game this season. This is a defense that hasn't been fully together this season.
No, when you have a top 10 offense and then a defense that's struggling the way the Mean Green has, it's been the Achilles heel of this team.
Short yardage situation on 3rd and 1. They get it to Hankins again. He maneuvers his way past the first down marker and an early conversion on 3rd down for UTEP. An offense that has struggled on 3rd down this season. 41 of 95, just 43% for the Miners, but they do move the chains here. And a big reason for that is the short yardage situation with Deion Hankins. And this is a guy who earned that Hank the Tank moniker from really his running style. I mean, the physicality, old school back like we talked about, but also a guy who has eclipsed 100 yards in 3 of his 6 games this season. 2 receivers out wide to the right for Brownholtz back in the shotgun. Has not attempted a pass just yet. They give it on the carry. And there's the first opportunity for the senior Joshua Fields to run the football.
Joshua Fields he's that thunder and lightning to these 2 backs. He's a change of pace, and especially when you talk about what Hankins does, and he's just old school. I mean, he's not a lot of wiggle to him at all, but when it comes down to Joshua Fields, the senior, he's more of a jump cutter.
KD Davis, the junior linebacker, down for the Mean Green. The flag flew in late after that play. And with 13 minutes left here in the first quarter, got an injury timeout here from Apogee Stadium. UTEP driving.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, number 73 of the offense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, early second down.
And it's a redshirt junior Bobby DeHaro called for the personal fouls. We take another look.
Yeah, Bobby DeHaro comes in at the last minute, just uncalled for. The referee sees it, and he's going to throw a flag on that every time.
North Texas sideline erupted whenever that play happened, and for good reason. It was obvious. DeHaro called for the personal foul. One of the guys that Gavin Hardison, when we talked to the sophomore quarterback earlier this week, asked him, who's this guy? Who do you run behind? And DeHaro was the first name out of his mouth, but now Hardison is not the quarterback who DeHaro is blocking for. Instead, it's Brownholtz, and he's backed up an extra 15 yards. 2nd down and 22. North Texas with a very stout defensive front. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. Handoff up the middle again to Fields, and there is nowhere to go. And once again, it's that defensive front from North Texas. Very good against the run from time to time this season, but just got to keep the consistency along the way.
Yeah, it's all about the consistency, but when you talk about a guy in Deion Noble and what he does up front, he is going to make sure that he creates a pile in there, as you see right there. He's a big part of the success that North Texas will have tonight if they have any.
Dayton LeBlanc, the redshirt sophomore, credited with the tackle, named the conference all-freshman team a year ago. 3rd down and 20 after a gain of 2. UTEP's going to send trips receivers out wide to the right, 1 down to the bottom of the formation. They put a man in motion. It's Cowing, and they flip him back out to the trips formation. Back to throw is Brownholtz. He looks over the middle. That one's tipped up in the air, and it falls incomplete. Great coverage there from North Texas. John Davis was the one that got a hand on the football, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, those obvious passing situations for the North Texas defense. Going to make it really simple to play off of this quarterback that doesn't have any experience, and so they get out there and they double team their guys out in the zone so they won't have any first downs for sure. That was a 3rd and 1.
So North Texas has an opportunity here. They get a stop on the offense or on the defensive side, and then following this punt, that is an end-over-end kick to Jalen Darden, who's all the way at his own 30. Doesn't get to him, though. This one craters in at about the 37, takes a North Texas bounce to the 39. And that's where the Mean Green will take things over. A top 10 offense for North Texas in the Mean Green this season, up over 518 yards per game. That is good enough for 8th in the country, and that man right there, Jalen Darden, a big part of how successful that offense has been this season. But Jason Bean at quarterback, really in a quarterback battle all year long with Austin Ani, has taken over that quarterback battle because of the numbers there.
Yeah, since his game in Middle Tennessee State and all of the yards that he had, he's come on, and Coach Seth Luttrell said had to give this guy an opportunity to make an impact.
And a long try there to Jalen Darden on the first play, not wasting any time attacking a very thin secondary for UTEP this week. And you look at the Miners secondary, it's a complete makeover for Coach Mike Cox, the defensive coordinator, and Coach Dimmel in that one. Bean puts this one on the turf, and the Miners are going to get the football back. He turned to throw into the flats as Darden was in motion, and he just left the football behind, and that one's recovered by Amahuli.
Yeah, that guy, Praise Amahuli, is such an electric player, and it looked like the ball just slipped right out of Bean's hand. Look, it rained earlier today, but still, that's one of those ones, and you look back, that's just a mental error for Bean on that play.
He turned around and just left the football on the turf. First fumble recovery for Amahuli. He's usually the one forcing the fumble, but instead he just brought the pressure off the edge, and it gives great field position for the second drive of this first quarter for Calvin Brownholtz in this UTEP offense. One thing working to Brownholtz's favor is he does have a bevy of weapons to work with. Justin Garrett's up at the top of the screen, but they give it again to Hankins. Nothing going, a gain of about 1 on the play. Another nice tackle there from Katie Davis, who's back up after he had the injury timeout a couple moments ago.
Now they're going with Dayton LeBlanc, and again, Dayton LeBlanc looks a lot like Dion Noble down there. He's doing a really good job of gobbling up those blocks. They have to continue that if they want to have any success against this zone running attack from the Miners.
Noble has had a couple of lingering issues throughout the year, a lower body injury that he's been dealing with since the game against Middle Tennessee State. Another handoff here to Hankins, has some extra room off to the right side of the formation before he is met by Larry Nixon III, the redshirt sophomore who Coach Seth Luttrell is very happy to have in the middle of that Mean Green defense, and it sets up third down again.
Yeah, Zuri Henry, right tackle on the right side. He's literally just one of those guys that's going to pile drive anyone in front of him. Although that's just a minor gain for the Miners. Look for them to come back to that because they know what they have in Hank the Tank.
Third down and 5, North Texas trying to force a second stop on the defensive side. UTEP already with 23 rushing yards. Haven't completed a pass just yet. Here's the quarterback keeper from Brownholtz, and he stopped short of the marker. Gets to about the 24.5-yard line. Needed the 23, and it's fourth down again for the second time today.
Yeah, that's a good hold for these guys. And like Coach Seth Luttrell said, defensively, these guys are going to mix it up. And you saw them right there. They went zero coverage. They didn't have a center fielder for the defense in on that play.
Gavin Beckley, the junior place kicker for UTEP, actually a McKinney High School graduate. McKinney just down the road here from Denton. He's left on the sideline. Offense back out there for UTEP. 2 receivers out wide, heavy package in for the Miners, and they might have jumped early. North Texas certainly thinks so on the defensive side of the football. UTEP arguing that it was a North Texas defender that forced the movement.
Yeah, I believe that they are going to call this on the defense.
And circle that one early in this ball game on a fourth down opportunity with a backup quarterback. You give it a free first down for the Miners.
Yeah, we definitely don't have to worry about crowd noise, even though North Texas is the visitors in their own home.
That was another look at the stop that forced fourth down, but now as the chains move into the red zone for the first time are the UTEP Miner offense. Here goes Brownholtz trying to find an edge, and instead he's met with Dayton LeBlanc. Mentioned the all-freshman team a year ago. Product out of Breaux Ridge, Louisiana, but actually attended Denton Ryan High School down the road here from Apogee Stadium as a junior. Son of former Mean Green defensive line coach Derek LeBlanc, and he has already made an impact early against the run game. A couple tackles here in this first quarter. Second down and 8 on the way. Underneath 8:45 to play and counting here in this first quarter. Here's Hankins. Bounces off the left guard, continues forward, turning the legs before he gets to the 14-yard line.
Yeah, that's Hankins' game. I mean, he's going to go, he's going to get what he can get. Very patient runner and just runs very explosive behind his pass, but very patient, uses his vision, picks up a couple yards, and it's going to bring up an important 3rd and 4 for the Miners.
UTEP has only attempted the one pass here in their first 2 drives of the ball game, not relying a whole lot on the arm of Brownholtz. He's run it a couple times, but really to no avail. And it's actually James Tupou in the backfield before a timeout is called. So UTEP wants to talk things over here before this 3rd down and 4. They continue to drive. Here from Denton, no score from Apogee Stadium.
Mom and Dad bought a sweet new ride with a great low rate thanks to a GECU auto loan. Mom got to drive it. Dad got to drive it. Even my sister got to drive it. When is it going to be my turn? What? You're letting him drive? Oh, come on.
Get pre-approved for your low-rate auto loan or refinance today. But hurry, sale ends January 5th.
Still your best friend, and now your co-pilot. Still a father, but now a friend. Still an electric car, just more electrifying. Still a night out, but everything fits in. Still hard work, just a little easier. Still a legend, just more legendary. Chevrolet, making life's journey just better.
How are they going to pay for this?
They will. But with accident forgiveness, Allstate won't raise your rates just because of an accident.
Cut!
Is that good?
No, you were talking about Allstate and...
Accident forgiveness from Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
The Oscar Arrieta Agency is proud to support the UTEP athletic program.
Pater Pete is in good hands with Allstate. Are you? Go Miners!
Call us for your free insurance proposal today.
A dozen total plays for UTEP so far in the ball game, and only one of them has been a pass play from that man, Calvin Brownholtz, the backup quarterback, thrusted into starting duties today, and he's already faced with his 4th third down of the first quarter in his first 2 drives. He's only converted on one of those. He's got the fullback to his right in James Tupou, the junior out of Allen High School. 3rd down and 4, got to get to the 10. It's Brownholtz on the keeper, hurdles a man. He's pushed forward, and there is a late flag, but he is short of the marker. That's just power football, Heckma Harrison. Just go at it with your big-time 6'2", 210-pound quarterback.
That's what you do. You got to go big on big, and for Mean Green, what they're doing is just daring them to throw the ball. They don't respect the arm of Brownholtz at all. They're not even playing with a safety.
Stephen Hubbard, the junior out of Houston, was the one called on the chop block, looking for another look here.
Yeah, one of the things they're not going to allow is for 2 men to be engaged and one to take the legs out of the defender. They just got caught on that.
So replaying 3rd down, but backing UTEP all the way up to their own 29-yard line. North Texas defensively, couple substitutions as McCray comes off the field. Got that 3-man front out there for North Texas. 4 wideouts for UTEP. 3 to the near side. Here goes Brownholtz. Tucks it and runs. He's got some space. All the way to the 15-yard line. He shakes a tackle, and he's going to take it into the end zone. It's a 29-yard touchdown run for UTEP. And the backup quarterback, Calvin Brownholtz, finds pay dirt.
Calvin sets this up perfectly. It's just a read option. Once he keeps his eyes up the field and he takes off with it, once he sees there's no safety there, there's no one back there to stop him.
And you can see the passion, the excitement. I mean, this is an opportunity for a redshirt sophomore to take advantage in his one opportunity this season to start, his first career start, after he debuted earlier this year against Stephen F. Austin. Beckley back on for the extra point. As UTEP will send this one through the uprights, and it's a 7-0 lead. The Miners strike first here from Apogee Stadium behind their backup quarterback. Calvin Brown holds his second rushing touchdown of 2020, and Miners up early. UTEP and the Miners up early in this one, 7-0. They scored on their second drive of the night, and that's fitting because number 2 is a sacred number around the UTEP football program. Luke Laufenberg passed away in August of 2019, former Miner, but son of NFL quarterback Babe Laufenberg. And they continue to pay tribute to Luke and his foundation along the way. That's Justin Garrett wearing the number 2 jersey with the Laufenberg nameplate still on the back. They all miss Luke. We miss Luke, and he was a light in their lives. Here's Deion Hare Griffin on a return, a all-conference return man for North Texas. The first opportunity he's had to reel in a kick, and he takes it all the way to the 40-plus yard line before he's escorted out of bounds. That's really been his specialty since he got on campus, is return kicks and do it at a high efficiency rate.
Absolutely. I mean, and they call him Preach on this team. He is because of COVID, he is the chaplain. He is the guy that pretty much is, the ringleader of making sure these guys need to be where they need to be. He is a great asset to this Mean Green team.
New quarterback in for North Texas. Austin Ani takes his first snap, and he connects outside to Austin Agumakin. And Austin Ani, originally the backup, or listed as the backup, and we were told by Seth Luttrell earlier this week that don't expect to go back and forth between these quarterbacks. It was going to be Jason Bean the majority of the way, should anything crazy or barring anything crazy happen. But Austin Ani gets a couple snaps early on and a quick couple completions out to the outside, as well as there's Asher Alberdine reeling that one in for a first down.
So you mean the coach didn't give you his strategy beforehand and saying that he was going to play both of his backs today?
A former minor league baseball prospect, drafted in the second round by the New York Yankees in 2012. Played 6 seasons in the Yankees organization. Spent the last 2 seasons of his career on the baseball diamond at High A Tampa, and he brings that cannon to the football gridiron.
Yeah, Coach Seth Luttrell talked about getting both of these guys the experience and the reps that they needed. Both of them young guys, and they have to capitalize on the reps that they get. 43-yard line working inward. There's Ani on the run. Sends this one just a tad bit high to Deontay Simpson. And the sophomore could not reel that one in on the sideline. Third down on the way here for the Mean Green. Yeah, look for guys like Praise Amalahule and the pressure that he's going to bring from the outside. And also, number 54, Keenan Stewart for the Miners, man. He is a breaker. I mean, offensive line breaker. The kind of guy that if you don't put a hat on him, he will get to your quarterback in a hurry. Trey
Siggers in the backfield as the tailback to the right of Ani. Play action. Ani having the flush out right. Now instead he steps forward, has a man downfield into the back of the end zone, and it's dropped. A huge opportunity for the Mean Green to connect for 6, and Agumakin could not get both mitts on it.
And it just felt as though that ball stayed in the air so long. I mean, he was open for about 5 steps and just completely overthrown there. But you got to have that patience. And Austin, he gets a good throw off right at the right spot, but just not where the receiver can catch it.
You see the arm strength from Ani on the run, able to throw that about 45 yards plus downfield, really just with the flick of a wrist. But the accuracy has certainly been a problem for the redshirt sophomores. This one's booted away by Rodriguez, and it takes a hop into the green-coated end zone, and it'll come out to the 25-yard line. So UTEP an opportunity here to grow their lead. They scored on their last drive via a rushing touchdown from Calvin Brown-Holtz, and the defense holds strong and holds this top 10 offense of North Texas to a goose egg. We're still in the first quarter, 7-0 UTEP. in a year full of unpredictability, a year full of strides here in 2020 as well. Two trailblazing programs meet again for the 29th time, Heckma, but really you go back into the history of both of these programs in trailblazing the way for African Americans.
Absolutely, man. And so it's not enough to be said about First for Everything, but the great Abner Haynes from South Dallas Lincoln High School alumnus, and man, it's so awesome to be associated with him in that way, him being the first African American athlete here at the University of North Texas.
Man, you got Lincoln and North Texas kind of both.
You know I had to squeeze that in there. Come on now.
He's Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans here in the first quarter of this Conference USA matchup. Quick completion on first down for Calvin Brownholtz. That's the first completion of the ball game. He did have that rushing touchdown from 29 yards out, and that's the difference so far. But he found Justin Garrett out into the flats, and it was a gain of 6 on first down. Handoff here, going nowhere. Close to the first down marker. First carry of the game for Awad. Redshirt junior from Lubbock Friendship High School, coming off a 2019 season where he had a season-ending injury in camp, and he has found his way on. 28 carries, 120 yards, and 3 touchdowns this season for the Miners. He's back in at tailback. 3 receivers out wide to the right as Brownholtz is back in the shotgun. Chastise snap, and they give it to Awad again. This one's bobbled around, and that ball still is loose. Looked like he might have been able to get both mitts on it and reel it back in on the fumble, but now as they sift through the pile, we'll see if North Texas came up with the football. UTEP believes they still have it.
Yeah, he took the handoff, and all of a sudden, whoop, it pops right up in the air. Hopefully he got a hand, but it came out of there at the last minute, so it'd be interesting to see who got a hold of it.
Gabriel Murphy was the one that came up with the football, but our officiating crew said that he was not the one that actually recovered the fumble.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of dirty things going on under that scrum, so may not want to know how he got that ball back.
Our head referee, Kevin Randall, saying this is still UTEP football, 2nd down and 1. Hand off to Hankins, who's back in the ball game, and he carries forward for a first down all the way to the 46-yard line before he's upended.
Yeah, what Dion does to a defense is after a while, just the attrition and him just wearing on you. And I think a lot of these guys have figured out that you got to get to him early, and if you don't, you better get him from the knees to the ankles to get him on the ground.
And another thing he does is he allows a backup quarterback like Brownholtz to find a bit of rhythm with the ones and kind of get that confidence and build that confidence. Certainly has that after the touchdown earlier. Tupou is the fullback. He's offset to the right after a bobbled snap. Now Brownholtz fires this one over the middle, and it's incomplete. Sails high, and there's a extremely late flag. Keelan Crosby was in coverage. Jacob Cowing wanted a flag, but he didn't get it initially. It took about 5 seconds before the back judge actually threw it.
Definitely not the way that Jacob Cowan thought that play was going to go. As you see, he runs just a quick slant out here and has a bit of a push-off coming back inside. It's just
could have gone either way, really. There was a lot of back-and-forth contact.
Well, the ref thought about it for sure. He just said 5 seconds afterwards. He had to figure out who he was going to throw that on.
Cowing now back at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of the formation. Fields in at tailback. They hand it to him off the right tackle, and he is just shouldered by Dayton LeBlanc. Didn't really go anywhere before he ran into the 290-pound defensive tackle.
Yeah, LeBlanc just basically told Fields, you will be stopping right here with just a shoulder tackle.
2nd down and 24.
2nd down, 24.
Well, one of the things you got to credit the Mean Green on, they are switching up their coverages. Before they were going with 0 coverage, now they've gone back to a cover 2 look.
Fields straight back behind Brownholtz. Another bobbled snap. He looks over to his right, trying to direct traffic. Now he is in trouble. And he has to get rid of this one, throwing to the right side, and I believe that's picked off. In the secondary, North Texas makes a huge play as Deshaun Gaddy came flying over to make the interception.
Gaddy's just reading him from the safety position. He sees the quarterback in trouble, and as Brownholtz is trying to get to the outside and elude getting a sack, he just throws it into an area where the safety, Deshaun Gaddy, can make a play on it, and he breaks on this ball perfectly and gets the ball back for the Mean Green.
And an easy call for the official on the far side, as Gaddy definitely had that left foot down in bounds as Murphy is down following the play. He was the one pressuring Brownholtz. Brownholtz really didn't have anywhere else to throw that football. You see his brother and Gabriel Murphy staying out there with him as Grayson Murphy limps off to the near sideline. But Brownholtz just rolling out, trying to find somebody. He had one orange jersey in the middle of three white.
Yeah, that's one of those situations when you have a guy in that doesn't have the experience. He definitely should just throw this ball away. You see him scrambling, and Murphy has him, but he turns on him and he tries to get the ball out to the sideline. But, man, just one of those bad throws, and he should learn from that and not replicate that effort.
Austinani back in at quarterback. Play action as he looks over the middle, going long down the near sideline. He's got a man. It's caught. Touchdown, North Texas. Deontay Simpson for the fourth time this year.
Deontay Simpson just is on a go route, and he makes it look simple, getting behind the DB to his side. I mean, there's no way that Deontay was going to be stopped on that, but you got to credit the quarterback for putting that on the money, because the last pass that he had that way, he overthrew it. Calmed down a little bit, but he definitely put enough on it to deliver a perfect strike. And so that's a great throw for the redshirt sophomore from Argyle, Austin Aoun.
Now, Ani on the money on that throw, and it's a point after, up and good. North Texas ties things up off of the touchdown throw. 46 yards from Austin Ani to Deontay Simpson. The sophomore reels it in. Simpson with the fourth touchdown of the season. You talk about a guy who plays bigger than his side. I mean, this is a guy who just has the speed, has the size that you want at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and once it was determined that he was by himself, instead of raising his arm, he continues to drive through the football, and Ani delivers a strike.
Ninth touchdown pass from Austin Ani this season. I mean, this is not a guy who's your normal backup quarterback, and this isn't your normal offense either. I mean, you talk about two guys, Jason Bean, Austin Ani, who have flipped back and forth all season long. Bean has 880 yards, but is listed as the starter. And then Austin Ani comes in. He actually leads the team in passing with over 1,400 yards now.
Yeah, of the two, he is the more accurate, and you can see that his arm strength is there as well. And so mechanics, all of that, so that he can deliver a great ball. I mean, that's something that they need to stay with, because he's making some strides.
Here's Don Jr. from the goal line, waiting for blocks to develop, and now he explodes through the hole, shakes a tackle, stays on his feet, and he's finally tripped up by Dion Hare-Griffin at the 31-yard line. So a nice return there from another veteran return man, their normal return man, and Duron Lowe, who actually had a 100-plus yard kickoff return for a touchdown in their last game against Louisiana Tech, actually opted out of the remainder of the season. But Walter Don Jr., who had been the on and off go-to kick returner for the Miners since his freshman year in 2016, sets up the Miners with solid field position.
And that's some major patience that he showed on the kickoff as well. I was wondering if they had blown it dead, but that was just him just playing a game of cat and mouse with the return team.
Now here's the response for Brownholtz in this UTEP offense, and they're going to attack with the run game. Hank the Tank carries this one all the way down to the 50-yard line. Stopped just shy of it after the tackle from Jordan Brown, the stud freshman linebacker for North Texas. But another nice carry there for Hankins.
Yeah, that's something that's just got to drive defensive coordinator Clint Bowen crazy, because it's just the zone run, and Deion Hankins is able to get on the outside and outflank him.
Two receivers to the right. Heavy package again. That 12 personnel we've seen so much. Hankins again on the carry. And this one keeps the clock running as he stays in bounds, but he's stopped short of the line to gain.
Yeah, that was the same play. And they came right back to it, and a little bit of the same result. He's just 1 yard away from getting the first down. But for the Mean Green defense, they have to go back to mixing it up because, as you stated, before that turnover, they were trying to get into a little bit of a rhythm, and the Miners had all of the momentum.
Tupou, the fullback, straight back behind the right tackle. Play action. Brownholtz looking to throw, throws this one over the middle. It's bobbled and dropped. Trying to find it into the hands of Jacob Cowing. It's incomplete, and it's 3rd down and short.
Cowan is a guy that does not drop a lot of balls, and you can tell with the Mean Green, they are stacking that box and daring Brownholtz to throw the ball. And once he delivers this ball, and it's a strike. I mean, he delivers that. He has a gun as well. I mean, but just for Cowan, that's a catch that he has to come down with.
Brownholtz now 1 of 4 for 6 yards. That was the first drop of the day for the Miners wide receiving core. Handoff back behind the line of scrimmage. Easy does it for that's Awad on the carry. And UTEP moves the chains to keep the drive alive. But you're exactly right. I mean, these are a pair of wide receivers that are normally used to getting the football downfield. I mean, it's Cowan, who's had 300-plus yard games in the last 4 weeks. Justin Garrett, who wears the number 2 with the Laufenberg title plate on the back, who was a conference honorable mention a year ago and continues to be a lunch pail guy for Coach Dimmel and company. First down from the 36. Hand off to Awad straight up the middle, and he is met with a wall of Mean Green defenders.
Yeah, and that's going to happen simply because the Mean Green is stacking the box and daring these guys to run, but they're having some success. And when we talked to Gavin Hardison, who's out of this game, and we asked him about his offensive line, he said, man, I can't just tell you one guy. All 5 of these guys are pretty awesome.
They've got a stable of talent, most of it coming back next year. Coach Dimmel was really excited about the possibilities of these seniors returning to El Paso in 2021. They give it to Hankins on 2nd down and long. He bounces to the outside. And finally, he's tripped up at the 31-yard line. It's the final play of the first quarter. Not as high scoring as we originally anticipated. It's 7-7. North Texas able to answer after UTEP struck first, but it was a 46-yard touchdown bomb from Austin Ani to close out the first quarter. We're tied up after 1 here in Denton. Big 3rd down on the way for the Miners offense as we start the second quarter of action from Apogee Stadium in Denton. Glad you're with us here on Friday night coverage of ESPN college football. 2 receivers out wide to the right, and it's the backup quarterback in Calvin Brownholtz back in for UTEP. Filling in for Gavin Hardison, who just moments before tonight's game ruled out of consideration. Handoff going nowhere. No, it's not. It's a carry from Brownholtz. He takes it all the way down to the 1-yard line. The entire defense, including myself up in the booth, was completely fooled. You can't tell me that's a backup quarterback move. That's a veteran pull
now
from
look
the
at
redshirt sophomore.
They go on the read option, and Brownholtz, once he gets through the line of scrimmage, there is no one because the closest guy to that side is Michael Sanders, who is on the strong side. Literally, there isn't a safety over the top. They're daring Brownholtz to beat him with his arm, and he beats him with his legs.
He is the leading rusher at the moment for UTEP. Now knocking on the door again, trying to retake the lead. Here's Hankins straight up the gut, and he powers his way through. It's a touchdown for UTEP. Rushing score number 8 on the season for the redshirt freshman out of North Little Rock. And the Miners take a 13-7 lead.
Yeah, they're making it look easy right now, just loading up that side on the inside zone run. And Hank the Tank, with a 1 yard to gain, he's going to get it.
I don't think there's any way you're going to really slow down that man. 6 foot, 195 pounds in short yardage situations. And you saw it again there as he made it look easy. Got a good push from the left side of that Miners offensive line, and it's enough for his 8th rushing touchdown of the game, of the season. The second one of the game for the Miners offense as Beckley kicks this one up and through the uprights. UTEP offensively finding a bit of rhythm on the ground. They take a 14-7 lead over North Texas on the road here in Denton. Well, you lose your starting quarterback moments before your final game of the regular season, but no match for Dana Dimel, his third season as the head coach for the UTEP Miners, former head coach at Wyoming and Houston, multiple stints at his alma mater as the offensive coordinator at Kansas State. And he recruited one guy back in 1993 that's standing to my right, Mr. Heckma Harrison.
Man, 4 and many moon ago, Dana Dimel came to South Dallas to give me a scholarship at South Dallas to Kansas State University. Love this guy, one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. Loves this program, loves these kids. I mean, and he treats all of them like they're his son.
And you can tell that in really the passion in talking with him this week. He was talking about 2020. He said he hated it. He really did. And he hates not being around his student athletes, hates not being able to really coach them in life along the way, even though there are plenty of lessons to be learned in this crazy year. This is by far one that he definitely would not want to do over again. Well, he's doing quite the job on that far sideline, coaching up his Miners, but there's a connection. Austin Ani to that man, Jalen Darden. He goes one play, 75 yards to the house, and just like that, the North Texas offense answers the bell.
When I said circle, underline, and highlight this guy, Jalen Darden, he shows you just on a simple slant route, he can take it to the house really quickly.
16 touchdowns this season for Jalen Darden, now all alone atop the NCAA leaderboards. And he continues to just break records along the way. He needed just 7 receptions entering the day to break the UNT career receptions. Needed 109 yards. Well, he took a big chunk out of that there, didn't he, to get the career receiving yards record from Johnny Quinn, and he ties his career-long reception with 75 yards to the house on one play this drive.
That's beautiful, and he just takes that slant route, just come right down the seam, and it's man-to-man, which is hard for me to believe that with all of the trouble that the Miners are having with, you know, the guys leaving in the transfer portal, that they would allow for one of their young guys to be man-on-man with Darden, and he made them pay.
Unbelievable. And just when we thought the defenses were going to have some luck here on this Friday night in Denton, the offenses explode for 14 points in the span of 49 seconds here in this second quarter. Remember, this was a 7-7 game in the middle of the quarter break. We've seen back-to-back here over the last couple of moments.
Yeah, you got to credit Austin Ani with that quick strike. You know, we talk about his baseball background and just dealing with some accuracy issues, but he hit that one right on the money.
This one backing Don Jr. up to the 1-yard line, once again showing off the patience, but he's going to go nowhere. Nice play on special teams from North Texas as David Chappelle comes straight in to lay down the hit on Don, and it is the worst starting field position of the night so far for UTEP from inside their own 20-yard line.
Got a Dave Chappelle sighting out here, huh?
Look at the time of possession. That's not a typo, ladies and gentlemen. That's through the first quarter. Well, now it's not a typo. That's through the first quarter of action. 13 and a half minutes, well, plus 13 and a half minutes for UTEP. Just over 2 minutes for North Texas through one quarter of action, and we're tied up at 14. How about quick strike ability from the offense?
I kind of think that's the definition of it,
You
right?
think so?
Yeah.
I think so as well. 3 receivers out wide, including the fullback that's out wide to the left, as Brownholtz continues to stay back in the shotgun, and UTEP trying to show off a quick strike of their own as they hand the football off to Awatt. He gets 9 yards on a chunk play on first down. A little extracurricular after the fact as the helmet pops off of Quinn Whitlock. He has to sit out a play.
Awatt has got to the second level before he even was touched. And so, again, for however you're mixing up these defenses, you know, it doesn't look like either team can stop either, you know, either one of these guys can stop each other. So definitely North Texas is going to have to clamp down on defense and get some stops.
Still haven't seen Deion Noble for an extended period of time in this football game. He was listed as a starter early, but really has yet to see the field. It's mostly been LeBlanc in the middle of that Mean Green defense. UTEP's been taking advantage via the run game. Here's Awatt again, untouched off the left tackle, and it's a gain of 7. Making things look easy, and that's what UTEP has done today. It hasn't necessarily been the big play like North Texas, but it's chunk yardage when you need it and continuing to move the sticks down the field.
Absolutely. They found something, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you know those Murphy twins, the one thing about them is these guys are playing out of position. They're a lot lighter outside linebackers than you want, right? And so Coach Seth Luttrell talked about that. They're tough, but what ends up happening is if they get a bigger guy out on them, they can move them pretty easily.
Well, you're talking about guys that converted to edge rushers. They were linebackers, and now they're up front on that line of scrimmage. They'll back them up into coverage from time to time as well. Brown holds back to throw, lets this one fly, try to go downfield for Cowan. They dive, and that one is incomplete. Mikhail Sanders back in coverage. He was there over the top, as well was Keelan Crosby, but a nice throw from the redshirt sophomore quarterback. Almost found his sophomore receiver.
Wait a minute now. Brownholtz has a bit of an arm as well. And so, look, Jacob Cowan can come down with this. It hits him right on the hands, but he gets the drop. He drops it. Boy, but I tell you, Jacob Cowan won't drop many of those. And Coach Dimmel talked about this guy being in the same vein as a Jalen Darden.
That is a high praise from anybody in the Conference USA. Here's Fields with the carry. Gets a couple here on second down. He's taken down from behind by Caleb Colvin, redshirt senior out of Oklahoma. Significant part of the rotation off the edge of that defense over the last 3 years. Battled injury issues throughout his career and found a way back into the lineup tonight. Has the tackle there.
Yeah, Caleb Colvin does a really good job of making sure that they don't get around that edge. So good job by setting it.
3rd down and 6. Got to get to the 45-yard line. North Texas showing pressure off the edge. Brownholtz checks at the line of scrimmage. 3-step drop, looking to his right, has a man on the out route. It's complete and out of bounds. Walter Don Jr. was the one with the reception. It is enough to move the chains. The UTEP sideline wanted a penalty flag for a late hit, but this is great execution from the sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just on the out route to Don Jr., he catches it perfectly, but that's one of the things that mixing up their coverages, they're playing off a little bit as well because they see that Brownholtz does have an arm and he's capable.
Reception number 18 on the season for Don Jr., just the 2nd completion for Brownholtz. He's now 2 of 6. 1st down and 10 from just outside North Texas territory, as this one's a bit short. On the far side again, trying to find Cowan. Cowan still has not had a reception yet. The only receivers with a reception, Justin Garrett, 1 for 6 yards, and then that last 10-yard gainer to Don Jr. Cowan's just had some tough tough breaks, rather, on the verge of success, though. Dropped pass. Another one down the field just off his fingertips, and then that one a little bit short. 2nd down and 10. Once again, North Texas showing pressure off the edge with the linebackers, and they continue to run the football as the Miners plunge straight into the line of scrimmage. Not a whole lot going there. Gain of about 1.
Yeah, they have so many formations. Coach Dimmel runs the ball from multiple formations, and that time they set Hankins up in a pistol formation. But again, he runs right into that defense, but look for them to come back to that because I think that is going to have some success for the Miners.
You think that may be one of the toughest challenges tonight, is having to shorten the playbook from this offensive staff without their normal starting quarterback in Gavin Hardison. But Brownholtz has done a nice job of directing the offense and managing the game. There you see that coaching staff on the far sideline. Brownholtz back in the shotgun. Looks to his left. Lets this one fly. He has a man downfield, and it's dropped by Don Jr. It would have been a 1st down as he had Crosby beat beyond the markers by quite a bit. And it's 4th down.
Gosh, that's one that I'm sure Walter Don Jr., redshirt senior, is going to wish that he had back because Brownholtz delivers a strike to him right in his hands, and he drops it. Couldn't get any easier than that, Kyle.
That was a great throw from Brownholtz. Put it right in the breadbasket. And like you said, that is not something that happens too often. As that one's blocked, North Texas brings the pressure, and they get a hand on it. Luckily for UTEP, that ball goes all the way down to the 24-yard line. When have you seen that? A blocked punt that ends up going about 34 yards downfield. That's about as interesting as it gets. We take another look as we go to break. North Texas and an opportunity to take the lead here from Apogee. North Texas back on the offensive side of things as they complete this one outside to Jalen Darden. The last time Jalen Darden had the football, he went 75 yards to the house. There's Seth Luttrell on the near sideline. 5th year as the head coach for the Mean Green. Took over a 1-win program in 2016 and has since gone to 3 bowl games and a Conference USA championship game in just 4 seasons, this being number 5, 30-30 overall record, and what a job he has done here in Denton, really building a winning mentality and a different type of culture than anybody has seen in Denton.
Yeah, we talked to him and about the ebb and flows that he's had in this program in the last 5 years. In 2020 to him, he said he cannot wait for this to be over with, but he knows the opportunities are there for his team.
And that might have been the first time we've really seen Jalen Darden bottled up by not just UTEP, but really anybody. Jason Van Hook, the redshirt senior linebacker, came straight up to make the play, and it was a loss of 3. 3rd down on the way now for North Texas.
But I like that play. Do anything you can to get your dog the ball.
Whistles blow, and a flag flies from the near sideline.
Number 1, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Darden, the guilty party on the false start. Austin Ani, since entering in that 2nd drive of the ball game, 3rd drive of the ball game, went 5 of 8, 145 yards and 2 touchdowns already. One of those a 75-yard strike to Jalen Darden. He's faced with 3rd down and 18 here following the false start. Lets this one fly downfield, trying to find Simpson, and is batted around and incomplete. You see the athleticism from Deontay Simpson. And this is a guy who has a 4.6 40, 6 foot, 190 pounds, and he went up over a defender and almost came down with this football.
Well, you got to credit also Josh Caldwell and his coverage there. If the ball's a little underthrown, a little bit more out there for Simpson, and he just runs straight away for a touchdown. But you got to talk about the Miners and what they're doing on this 3-3-5 defense. They're switching it up on North Texas as well.
And that secondary definitely faced with quite a bit of a challenge, with 4 guys opting out and 1 unavailable today, as this punt takes a North Texas bounce, goes inside the 30-yard line. A nice job off of the foot of Bernardo Rodriguez. The redshirt junior pushes UTEP backwards, flips the field as the Miners head back out on the offensive side. All knotted up at 14 here on Friday night. Tie game here from Apogee Stadium in Denton, Texas. There's Mean Joe Green, the one that really kind of paved the way for all great student athletes here at North Texas, and the one that you call Uncle Heckma Harrison.
Yeah, I may know that guy, just a little bit. Yeah, one of the best defensive linemen to ever play the game of football. Just so happens to be my uncle, and I'm proud to say that I'm a part of that legacy, especially here at the University of North Texas. And I know my aunt, Agnes Lucille Kraft Green, is smiling down today.
And you know he is watching from home. We can confirm Mean Joe Green is, as he always has, continues to support the Mean Green. Nice tackle there on the first play of the drive, as coming out of the woodworks was Grayson Murphy. He came out of the ball game earlier via an injury timeout, but he is back in and playing opposite of his brother and Gabriel Murphy on that defensive line. 2nd down and 10. Back to the pistol here for UTEP. 2 receivers out wide, and there's some movement up front. And the Miners will be backing this one up. Terry Henry, the guilty party out of Wiley, Texas. Junior, 6'5", 300 pounds, and somebody who has started in 5 of the 7 games he's appeared in this season at right tackle, playing over on the left side of that offensive line, though.
6'5", 300 pounds. You make one slight move, everybody in the stadium's going to see it.
And that's exactly what happened there. 2nd and long. Play action. Brownholt's going to unleash this one again, and now he's got Cowing downfield, and it's just overthrown. Man, Jacob Cowing cannot catch a break. He has had opportunity after opportunity. He had 2 North Texas defenders beat on that one.
Yeah, he is running by and past these North Texas defenders, and they have got to do a better job in that. You know the two-headed monster that they have in the receivers, so you got to make sure that you bottle these guys up, and he's double covered, and he runs past these guys. But again, dealing with Calvin Brownholtz, he has to just calm down. I'm sure his nerves are on 1,000 right now.
One of those is going to connect at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be for a big gain. 3rd down and 15. UTEP needs a big gain here. Under pressure, and he's going to go down for a sack. North Texas sends Gabriel Murphy off the edge, and it's a loss of about 13 on the play. And it's 4th down. The North Texas defense stands strong deep in enemy territory.
Now you talk about Gabriel Murphy being an undersized rusher, but he does a really good job of disposing of that right tackle and getting a sack. I'm surprised that they didn't get the quarterback for intentional down in that, but I guess not.
4th sack of the season for Gabriel Murphy. Took over that starting job against UTSA, and he continues to do work as this punt is blown dead before Jalen Darden, who just let that one come to him and almost kicked it away. So from the 10 to the 5, and UTEP continues to back up further in their own territory.
Now this is dangerous territory for UTEP, because the last time they were out to punt, we heard that double thud off of the leg of the punter. So this would be the wrong time to have that happen.
Joshua Sloan all the way at the back of his own end zone. North Texas doesn't bring as much pressure. Jalen Darden standing at the 50, tries to clear everybody out. And this one will trickle off to the side and settle in just past midfield, and that's where North Texas will take things over. A sack from Gabriel Murphy. The redshirt freshman comes straight off the edge, takes down Brownholtz, and gets that North Texas offense back on the field, tied at 14. Normally Friday nights in Texas means high school football, but tonight it has certainly opened up what has been a fun collegiate battle between 2 in-state rivals in the Conference USA. Quick completion out wide to the right as Roger Burns reels it in, but we're tied up at 14 here from Apogee Stadium in Denton. And back out on offense are the Mean Green. Austin Ani been dealing since he entered the game, and they're one of the few positive rush attempts that North Texas has had. DeAndre Torrey, who has really been a non-factor in this game so far. North Texas before that, -10 in rushing yards.
Yeah, and it's all because of this front 7 of the Miners. They have been all over this running game, and you know how they like to attack. North Texas does with their 3-headed monster in Torrey, Attaway, and Siggers, but they are having none of it.
And UTEP really had a lot of confidence when it came to that front 4. Kelton Moss, Keenan Stewart, Praise Amahuli, those 3 by themselves are enough to challenge any run game. Now, Ani lets this one fly, and it's connected with on the far sideline. Again, it's Simpson that reels it in. There's a banged-up Miner in the secondary, but another nice reception from Deontay Simpson, and the sophomore reels it in for his second grab of the ball game.
Yeah, I'm liking Simpson, man. He is a smooth operator, and he gets in between those 2 DBs. But Austin Ani, he delivers a strike to him as well. That's a kid that's getting into a rhythm right now. I call him a kid. He's 27 years old, so I want to watch that.
Justin Price, the redshirt junior, is the one down. That was in coverage of Simpson, but he took a lick here.
Yeah, he did.
Price was one that laid down the hammer, and he was the one that ended up getting the brute force of his own making.
Yeah, that's a shoulder injury. He gets into the back of a guy, and that's just taking all of his power right into your shoulder. But again, I mean, that's just a great throw to Simpson there on the far sideline.
Simpson, 21 receptions entering the night, close to 20 yards per catch. Had his 4th touchdown grab earlier. He was the team's 2nd leading receiver behind Jalen Darden. You see the coaching staff having a conversation with Austin Ani on the near sideline as they wait for Justin Prince to clear the field. Ani breaks the huddle, Oscar Attaway, the fab freshman running back, redshirt freshman who broke out against Houston Baptist in the season opener, is off to the left. They fake it to him. Play action. Ani lofts this one to the end zone, trying to find Roderick Burns. Redshirt sophomore out of Houston just didn't see it.
Didn't see it. He just threw it behind him. But they're bringing a lot of pressure from the outside. UTEP is. They're not just sitting back in coverage anymore. They realize, and Coach Dimmel said this, they have to circumvent with pressure up front for what's going on the backside of their young DBs.
Here's Attaway, not going to go very far before he's wrapped up from behind by Breon Hayward. Hayward with his first tackle of the evening, and it sets up 3rd down and 8. Into the red zone are the Mean Green again. A team that has had some success in the red zone this year. 21 of 28, 17 touchdowns for the Mean Green inside the 20-yard line. Big 3rd down on the way for this Miners defense to try and hold strong against the top 10 offense in the country. Ani steps up into the pocket, takes it himself. He runs and stutter steps his way. A bit of hesitation keeps him short of the line to gain. Picked up 8, but not enough for the 1st down.
So Austin, he's mobile, but he is, of the 2 quarterbacks, he's probably not the most mobile one, but he realizes it's pretty much a coverage sack here. He wants to slide at first. He thinks about it, and then he goes ahead and lays down.
Austin, I thought you played baseball, my friend.
He did too.
He played 6 years in the Yankees organization, and he wasn't a pitcher, I'll tell you that much. Did not have the baseball slide or the baseball-esque slide that time, and it brings on Ethan Mooney, junior out of Fort Worth, with a quick chip shot field goal, and this one is up and good from 24 yards out. And North Texas takes the lead, 17-14, their first lead of the evening. That's a huge credit to UTEP. Really down 5 guys in the secondary, down their starting quarterback, and they were able to hold off the Mean Green from taking a lead until late here in the 2nd quarter. But ultimately, if you're UTEP, you have to answer before the halftime break. North Texas gets the ball to start the 3rd.
Well, defensively for the Miners, getting down in the red zone, it was a blessing for them, because then Austin Ani, he runs out of field to throw on. So makes the coverage really easy, because they play the back of the end zone as an extra defender, keeping those guys in front of them, and they know what they want to do. They want to get the ball out to dart, and so covering these guys up, playing a little bit of cloud coverage down here to make sure that they don't give up a touchdown.
Ethan Mooney capping off that drive with field goal number 7 on the year. He's now 7 for 12. And he's made 6 of his last 7 attempts after an 0-for-3 day against Charlotte. UTEP going to get the football back here with 4:43 left in the 2nd quarter. UTEP still trying to find a rhythm in the passing game, as Brown-Holtz has had a couple more opportunities to actually throw the football since those first couple drives, but he's 2 of 9 for 16 yards and an interception so far in this one. Line drive kick to the goal line. It'll be Don Jr. who reels it in at his own 1-yard line. Rolls out to his left, and he's going nowhere again for the 2nd straight return. Great coverage from North Texas on special teams, and a huge credit to that North Texas special teams coordinator, Mike Eckler. The tackle was made by Edward Barista.
And let me tell you, man, I played with Mike Eckler also at Kansas State University, so this is a family.
It's a homecoming.
It's a family affair tonight. But also Walter Dunn Jr. in the first couple of kickoffs, he kind of moseyed up to the line before he actually accelerated. What you're seeing the North Texas do is they are accelerating, coming down the field and getting after him. So when he does decide to go full speed, he's at the 15, 20-yard line. He's taking losses there.
All the way back to the 16 is where UTEP will take over. They put a man in motion to the top of the formation. Brown-Holtz hands it off. Nowhere to go. This is a North Texas defense, like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, really in the bottom 5, bottom 10 of every statistical category in the nation, not just the conference, in the entire NCAA. 126th in total yardage. There's only 127 teams. 120th in rushing yards per game and 112th in passing yards allowed per game.
Yeah, they have some holes, and from what I can tell, is they have a really small front, and even though they try and play together, when they come up against a offensive line like this, they get outpowered a lot.
There's the first completion to Cowan. It took a couple tries throughout the ball game. There had been some different targets his direction, just could not reel one in, and he finally does get one, and it's a good enough for a gain of 14 and a first down.
I think that's a personal best for him, isn't it?
It is a personal best
There it
of a
is.
throw for Calvin Brownholtz.
Told you.
It's a record-breaking day for the redshirt sophomore. Down to 3 of 10 throwing the football as well. First down from the 30, looks out wide to the left and has to just throw this one to the ground, and that may be intentional grounding. He was not out of the pocket. There was not an intended target, even though the officials are pointing at Justin Garrett. So they call it an eligible receiver in Garrett within the vicinity. And UTEP catches a huge break here.
Yeah, I believe they do. But that's one of the most interesting things that I'm seeing right now is that, North Texas is crowding the line of scrimmage. I think in this last one they had 8 men in the box, and when they do that, they're just playing it without a safety over the top. So once you get to the second level, there's nobody.
Handoff going nowhere. How about that pressure off the edge? Kevin Wood, conference all-freshman team a year ago. Well, he is not a freshman anymore. The sophomore out of Converse Judson comes flying in for the tackle for loss.
Yeah, Kevin Wood, he reads this perfectly. Even though they're faking as though this is a read option, he sees him put that ball in the belly of that running back, and he breaks on it, gets in there perfectly, and makes that tackle from behind. That's a great job by number 14, the freshman, the redshirt sophomore, Kevin Wood.
Third down and 10. 3 receivers all to the left for Brownholtz, and a timeout is called. UTEP didn't like the look on the defensive side of the football, and they want to talk things over. 2:41 left here in the second quarter. It's been a fun one so far here from Denton. I mean, North Texas giving up the early touchdown run to Calvin Brownholtz. UTEP took an early lead, but North Texas has struck twice from beyond the 50-yard line, and it's been enough to really propel them to a 3-point lead here. But if you're North Texas, you're not happy with a 3-point lead against a team that is so depleted, so thin in UTEP at the moment. If you're North Texas and Seth Luttrell, you really want to try and distance yourself over the next couple of moments.
Yeah, they have to, and you see right now with Calvin Brownholtz, he's making some throws, and they're trying to get back into the rhythm that they had in the first quarter. But what's happening now is that the North Texas defense, they've made some adjustments as well.
Yeah, they definitely have. Gave up close to 140 yards in the first quarter alone. That has since been really held in check here in the second. Another opportunity to get off the field, and with the timeout, plenty of opportunity and plenty of time for that North Texas offense to strike should the defense force a stop here. North Texas only brings 3. Brownholtz steps up into the pocket, and it's intercepted. At the 40-yard line, it's the second pick for North Texas defensively, and it's that man again, Kevin Woods. His first interception of his career, and North Texas gets the ball back in enemy territory.
Yeah, that's as easy as it comes as far as an interception for Kevin Woods. They have these guys zoned off. Although they're faking the blitz, they pull the safety out at the last minute, and they trick him. And Brownholtz thinks he has a guy open out in the flat, but he does not. Only person he has over there is Kevin Wood.
Devon Cooper trying to turn into a defender there and get in front of Wood. But Wood read that like a book, stepped right in front of the receiver and brought it down. Now from the 40-yard line, stacked receivers to the near side, including Jalen Darden, who enters this drive just 24 yards shy of tying the receiving record for career receiving yards at North Texas. Johnny Quinn originally held that honor, still holds that honor with 2,700 receiving yards. This one out wide, and that one incomplete. And in a blink of an eye, North Texas is already facing a third down here.
But I like what they're doing. They're immediately going to tempo, not allowing for the Miners to make any substitutions. They know they're thin in the secondary, so this is a great strategy for Seth Luttrell.
Ani, 7 of 12 passing, 174 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Siggers, excuse me, it's Torrey in the backfield, and this goes off of the hands and incomplete. Ogumakin, the redshirt sophomore, couldn't reel it in, and it's a quick 3 and out seemingly for North Texas, but the offense is going to stay on the field.
Yeah, that's a dangerous throw by the quarterback. Bounces off of the hands, just threw it too far behind him, and you see a lot of those balls, when they get tipped like that, they get intercepted.
4th down and 5. North Texas going for it on 4th down for the first time today. On the season, they're 7 of 17. Under pressure, Ani has to step up, and he's going to be taken down from behind.
That's that guy.
He got back to the line of scrimmage and gained a couple yards, but nowhere close to the marker as UTEP sends their man off the edge, and Amahuli makes the play.
Yeah, Amahuli, he is a guy that has multiple moves and just an electric guy as a rusher. He gets up the field, and as soon as Austin tries to come back, he comes off of his guy and gets a great tackle and a stop for the Miners. Just a great play by our guy, Praise.
Amahuli.
Amahuli.
Remember the name, because that was a heck of a play to shed the blocker and to get off. By the way, just a fantastic story for Amahuli. Grew up in Nigeria, lost his mother at the age of 9, moved to the States, and has made a name for himself in El Paso. Loved around the program and around the city. As Brownholtz not wasting any time, letting this one fly, and it bounces around and incomplete. Again, Cowing was the intended target.
One of these times, Calvin Brownholtz is going to make a connection to one of his receivers, and this time, instead of overthrowing the receiver, he underthrows it, hits him in the hands, but again, he's trying to look past a defender and make that catch as well, because he has guys running wide open, and one name we haven't called is Garrett.
Garrett, just the one reception early in the ball game. Only got 6 yards on it. Cowing, just a single reception for 12 yards. Brownholtz now 3 of 13, but UTEP, you're not going to win this game if you don't throw the football efficiently. They're trying to find a rhythm with a redshirt sophomore quarterback. Here's Brownholtz, has a man, this time fits it into the hole, and it's Don Jr. with his second reception and a little extra attitude after he makes the grab, moving the chains.
Oh, Walter Don Jr. should just get back to the huddle, because he's the same guy that dropped the ball on his side right there. I mean, I understand, you want to put a little pepper on it, but at the same time, man, that's the throw and catch that you're supposed to make.
There's a huge hole in that North Texas defense. Might have been some miscommunication on that side of the football. 1st and 10 from inside Mean Green territory. Brownholtz on the quarterback draw, keeps it himself. Already has 1 rushing touchdown in this one. Was the leading ball carrier earlier in the ball game, and he might have just taken over that title again. Actually, he's about 2 yards shy of Deion Hankins for that title of leading rusher for the Miners. 3 receivers left. Brownholtz again takes it and runs. He's got the first down, trying to get to the edge and get out of bounds, but he's escorted out instead.
Yeah, he knows where the marker is. He has to get a first down. At this, looking at this, I don't understand what he's thinking, because, again, he has an opportunity to get positive yardage, but as soon as he sees the defender, he starts dancing with him. Now, here it is on the replay. I mean, he has no one in front of him, and so once he sees the safety step up, Nixon, he just slows it down and not get to the marker.
I think he was trying to get out of bounds. UTEP only has 1 timeout remaining, and I know and Coach Dimmel would not be happy to use that on the drive. They would like to use it just in case they need to set up a field goal attempt.
Well, I understand now. They've put it in his head, look, we got to save some time on this clock. If we can get it, tie this up, get it in field goal position.
UTEP's ready to run a play, but the entire crew of officials is gathered within 5 yards.
And the clock is starting, ready for play.
So they reset the game clock to 1:11. It saves close to 15 seconds here for UTEP on this final drive of the second quarter. Some more confusion. And the Marine Green burned their second timeout. With 1:11 left here in the half, UTEP driving with an opportunity to tie or take the lead going into the break. Down but not out for UTEP whenever it comes to the thin secondary they've had to deal with against a high-powered attack. They've done a nice job of combating that, but now that you got to just find a rhythm on the offensive side.
Yeah, and they haven't. It's unfortunate, but Calvin Brownholtz has done a really fantastic job filling in here on less than 24 hours notice. And so we know that they definitely have a qualified backup now, but kid has a great arm. He's had some opportunities to create with his legs as well. But you talked about it, man, that the secondary, they're thin. And just back to that throw by Brownholtz, getting it also again, Walter Dunn Jr. just saying, hey, get off of me. But this is one of the weirdest plays, and I understand it now because maybe they were out of timeouts, but he's just trying to get down and get out of bounds.
Inexperienced quarterback, had not started a game before today, his first career start. Native of Carmichael, California, filling in for Gavin Hardison, stepping back to throw here. Lets this one fly, it's underthrown again, and coming back to the football and almost making the grab was Cooper. There is a flag back at the line of scrimmage. Redshirt sophomore Devontae McCray with a crucial penalty called against him, and as we take another look at the incomplete pass, but it results in 15 yards heading the other direction for this North Texas defense.
Oh, that's going to drive your coaches crazy when you do that. That's just a mental error, especially when you guys are battling so hard. You talked about where they're ranked defensively. They can't afford to give up these kind of penalties. UTEP all the way at the 23-yard line. Garrett all by himself at the bottom of the formation. Cooper, Cowing, and Don Jr. at the top. Handoff in the backfield. It's another run, this time from Awat. And Awat has another first down. North Texas giving up chunk yardage on a crucial drive in this football game. And you're talking about a team that was just looking to get a field goal. Now they're thinking score.
Yeah, getting out of bounds on the near side with 59 seconds remaining. Plenty of time for this Miners offense. Awat stays in the game at tailback. Same formation as the previous play. Brownholtz to Awat. Shakes off a tackle at the line of scrimmage and then falls forward to about the 6.
And they're looking to conserve some time right now. But I love what North Texas is doing. They're trying to confuse Brownholtz. They're faking the pressure on the outside. The last time when he threw the interception to Kevin Wood, it was they faked the blitz and then they dropped back out into those coverages. And so that's a great job by the defensive coordinator, just trying to give this guy different looks.
UTEP in the red zone this season. 114th in the country in terms of red zone touchdowns. 14 touchdowns on 24 attempts.
North Texas, he lost his helmet. Under a minute with the clock running, that qualifies for a 10-second runoff. UTEP has declined that runoff. The clock will start on the snap.
So a little housekeeping from our officials when it comes to the time management here from UTEP in a potential runoff. Brownholtz trying to lead his third touchdown drive of the ball game. Each of them have been on the ground. One for him and one for Deion Hankins. Hankins in the backfield. They give it to him. Hank the Tank hurdles a defender and he finds the end zone. The Miners go all the way down the field in a 2-minute drill and they retake the lead here in Denton.
Now, what did I tell you about Hankins lining up in that pistol formation? He doesn't. I tell you, they come back to it again. It's going to be there for him because once they get past that first wave of defenders, there's no one there to stop the Tank.
It is so tough to stop that man. A man like that should not be able to hurdle a defender that easily and then just waltz his way into the end zone. Didn't even have to reach for the pylon, didn't have to dive over anybody. Easy score for UTEP, their third scoring drive of the ball game. And the kick is good from Gavin Beckley. UTEP with Mr. Hank the Tank on the touchdown run. This is too easy.
Yeah, it is, and they're just digging those guys out of there. Look at big number 79, Elijah Klein, and he does a really good job of getting his guy on the ground. And again, from the pistol formation, when he's behind Brownholtz, he's going to be tough because it's almost like lining a guy like this up in an I formation. I know that's old school football, but I'm telling you it works.
So with 43 seconds remaining, for those of you just joining us at home, that does not mean this half is over by any means.
Oh, no.
North Texas will receive the third quarter kickoff as they won the toss and deferred to the second half. But North Texas, with the high-flying ability of Jalen Darden, of Austin Ani at quarterback, have more than the ample opportunity with 43 seconds to put points on the board before the second quarter comes to a close. Dion Hare-Griffin back to return. DeAndre Torrey back there as well. This one goes shaded toward Hare-Griffin. He reels it in at his own goal line. Goes straight up the gut and nowhere to go that time. Great coverage from UTEP as he had nowhere to run the football. And another nice play from Breon Hayward. We've called his name a couple times tonight, and it's not the ample field position for North Texas to get that offense going.
Yeah, you better be careful with Hare-Griffin. Continue to kick those to him. He will take those to the house in a hurry, man. But, you know, this time of possession right now for UTEP and the way that they're doing this, I mean, look, with 38 seconds left, if North Texas is able to score, again, that would be the definition of quick strike offense.
North Texas going long initially, trying to find Jalen Darden. It's bounced around in the secondary of UTEP. Tyreek James filling in for Broderick Harrell at the safety position, got a hand on it and almost had a chance at the interception.
Yeah, he breaks on it pretty clean, but only is able to get a fingertip on it. That was just enough because if he doesn't do that, North Texas scores.
North Texas has only had the ball for 6 minutes and 50 seconds of game clock as this quick completion to Torrey gets him out of bounds and a couple extra yards closer to the first down marker. First down's not necessarily a huge concern for Seth Luttrell's offense at this moment. Trying to gain as many chunk yards as you can toward the end of the half and set you up for a shot at the end zone. Stacked receivers to the top of the formation as both Darden and Simpson are out wide. At the bottom of the screen, it's Ogumakin. Ani out wide trying to find the tight end. That's Jake Roberts, the freshman out of Norman, Oklahoma. Just didn't see it, didn't turn his head enough, and with 21 seconds left, North Texas is forced to punt this football away.
Yeah, that's just an errant throw. He throws it at the legs of his tight end, who may have an opportunity to make a play if he puts him in the right position because they have it blocked up pretty well. But again, I mean, here's a fourth down, still 21 seconds for the Miners left on the clock.
Rodriguez back to throw this one away, and UTEP got a hand on it. Again, this one will take a North Texas bounce all the way to the 35-yard line, but the Miners did tip that football off the leg of Rodriguez. We've seen North Texas do it once, and now UTEP blocks a punt, but it still continues for extra yardage.
Well, is it actually a block punt if it rolls?
If it still ends up looking like a punt?
Yeah, it looks like a punt.
Good point.
We heard the double thud before, but then it rolled all the way to the 25-yard line. Didn't look like much of a block punt before. So, I mean, this is the weirdest thing. We've seen two block punts that were not.
It looks like UTEP is more than happy to take this one into the halftime break with a 4-point lead. The Miners come on the road, quote unquote. They are technically the home team, but in a road stadium here in Denton, Texas, and leave the first two quarters with the advantage. North Texas will receive the second half kickoff, but behind a backup quarterback in Calvin Brownholtz, the redshirt sophomore, has held held UTEP to a halftime lead, 21-17, our score from Denton. We're halfway through this one. We'll be back with more halftime stats right after this. Downtown Denton, Texas, where North Texas continues to trail UTEP 21-7. The Miners having a 4-point lead into the halftime break here from Apogee Stadium in Denton, Texas. Alongside Heckma Harrison, I'm Kyle Yeomans. And really, Heckma, when you talk about that first half, it had to go with the running game of UTEP. Early on, that was the difference, was getting the ball to Deion Hankins, letting Brownholtz run the football, and their 242 total yards. Not surprising, but you look at just 47 through the air, and that's how they have the lead here.
Well, when you have a new quarterback that comes in on a 24-hour notice, I think you probably want to rely on what got you here, and that is the running game. And when they call a guy Hank the Tank, it's not because they bring you down easy. And you've seen from those runs that he's had, he is a load to bring down. And right now, the North Texas defense has their hands full. 15 rushes for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, this is just in one half. And so they had a trio of running backs for the Miners that have come in, and it hadn't just been Hankins, but he is the guy that's getting it into the end zone.
Well, he's already had the 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. He had 3 rushing touchdowns against ULM in Week 4. He was the first freshman in program history to have 3 scores since John Harvey did it back in 1985. He's only one time a pay dirt away from tying that mark as Deion Hankins continues to run all over the Conference USA. 21-17 our score from Denton. UTEP with the lead. When we come back, we'll hear about Jalen Darden, the semifinalist for the Bolitnikoff Award. 2-3 win teams here in Denton. UTEP holds a 4-point advantage over the Mean Green as the Miners come on the road for the 5th straight game, and they are not necessarily any strangers to some road action, and they have the advantage over the Mean Green here in Denton. But the Mean Green have had a 75-yard touchdown score from Jalen Darden, the senior receiver, a semifinalist for the Bolitnikoff Award, and 16 touchdowns this season. He sits just 24 yards from breaking the career record, and here's what he had to say about his journey to North Texas.
Making someone miss is like waking up in the morning and brush my teeth. I gotta do it every day.
Darden's footwork is something to behold.
Coming out of routes, just really gifted. JD has the ability to move at a lightning speed that can go from 0 to 100 really quick. I think he is really elite in a thing called twitch.
It's unbelievable. Obviously, it's very fast. He's quick twitched.
Gets it at the 19. Loses a couple of defenders. Finds some room up the seam across midfield.
Oh yeah, slow feet don't eat.
And he's going to take this one on.
When I was younger, my older brother, he played football. I kind of followed his footsteps with the receiver. He had me out there doing the ladder drills at like 6 years old. So after that, I started just picking it up. I kind of took pride in that, and ever since then, I just his repetition. It was more so me running routes, getting my expectations of my routes down, and now I feel like that's why I'm here today.
Coming out of Stratton High School, JD was the jovial, enthusiastic, kind of guy that's dancing out there and, making his moves, when he's not practicing.
And watching him grow over the last 4 years, his maturity level of wanting to be great.
The longer he's around, the more comfortable he's gotten. He's a fun guy to be around. He's very competitive. He's one of those guys that's, again, like so many of the great ones, he's always played with a chip on his shoulder because everybody's told him, he wasn't going to be able to do something because of his size.
It started at a young age. A lot of people have been saying I'm too short, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I already knew that I was smaller than everybody, so I had to separate myself some way, somehow. So honestly, I just put it on my shoulder and just run with it. I take it as motivation.
He always understands how to find that leverage and that separation. He understands when you have to be tight on the defender to make a break to get your separation, and then he also understands how to avoid people and not get touched and play fast.
He's got a great understanding of who he is and how to use his abilities. His size is to his advantage in his route running. He's got a great understanding of leverage. So if someone wants to wall him, put their hands on him, maybe get him to change direction. He's got a great understanding of how to get his pads lower than the hands, or where to stem him, lean and stem him so they can't get their hands on him.
I don't like getting touched, so however I have to not get touched and get vertical, that's the move I'm going with. I don't care what it is. It's just a natural instinct.
21-17 our score here from Denton as North Texas trails by 4, but we've seen some high-flying offense from the Mean Green all season long. That has certainly continued to tonight. However, UTEP has combated that. Both quarterbacks going back and forth, but really for UTEP, Heckma, it's been mostly on the ground for Brownholtz in reserve duty, filling in for Gavin Hardison at the quarterback spot, but Calvin Brownholtz has done a really nice job.
Yes, he has. And you talk about what they're doing on the ground, and I think that's all for Coach Dana Dimmel to get these guys and get some kind of balance going, right? And it's all about some of those missed opportunities from Brownholtz. I mean, he comes in again on 24 hours notice, but there are a couple of plays that he's made, and a lot of them have been with his legs, but the ones with his arm, he's just been a titch short on some of his throws. But the Achilles heel of the North Texas defense is that mobile quarterback, and he's giving them all they can handle when he decides to run.
Along with the 27-yard rushing touchdown he had earlier in the game, he has 7 carries for 73 yards, and that, like we said, that one touchdown early on. He's almost 9 yards per carry. He's made a couple mistakes, couple interceptions in the game where North Texas is definitely taking an advantage, but overall he's done a nice job of managing the offense and putting UTEP in a solid place to make some plays. But on the other side has been Austin Ani. Came in after the initial drive belonged to Jason Bean. Ani comes in and has thrown the ball pretty well. 8 of 17 for 180 yards. Completed a 75-yard touchdown throw to Jalen Darden, and then this one to Simpson for one of the 2 touchdowns. But what have you thought about Ani's first half?
I think he's been perfect. I mean, he's had some miscues in that baseball mentality of those quick flick throws, but, man, he has been quick to get scores as well, especially when he gets it into the hands of his playmakers, and you know who that is, and that's one Jalen Darden on that one, that slant. He made it look easy. It's going to show 180 yards, but he got a good 70 of that on one play.
And that offense really kind of came to a screeching halt in the back half of that second quarter. It'll be interesting to see how North Texas turns things around. The start of the second half on the way next here from Denton. On to the second half we go here from Denton, Texas. UTEP with a 21-17 lead over North Texas. It's only the 8th time that the Miners have led at the half under Dana Dimmel, but that's really kind of saying something. Dimmel taking over a winless program whenever he took over the Miners 3 seasons ago. Looking for win number 6 in El Paso, and this would be a big one, putting them into bowl eligibility at 4-4. Both teams with 3 wins. North Texas trying to stay in that hunt as well with a victory. North Texas will receive the opening kickoff here of the third quarter. It's Dion Hare Griffin backed up into his own end zone. Doesn't get very far out of it, though, as Darius Baptist comes in for the tackle, and it's out to the 21-yard line, and that's where North Texas in their offense, led by Austin Ani, will take back over. There were some questions up here in the booth on whether or not it would be Ani to start the third quarter, Heckma Harrison, or Jason Bean, but of course Ani is back out there. He had the 2 throwing touchdowns in that first half, but really left a couple on the table.
Yeah, he's earned it, though. I mean, he's made the throws. He's gotten them out of some situations. You know, as far as those quick scores, it's all been on his arm. So, yeah, definitely Seth Luttrell just riding the hot hand.
Here's Torrey on the opening play of the second half, and a nice gain of about 7 on first down. Torrey, like we said, really a non-factor in that first half. 3 carries for 7 yards in the ball game as he already works his way off to the near side, and that's really kind of what we've seen from the stable of backs in the backfield for North Texas. Now DeAndre Torrey with the carry, and he has enough for the first down.
Yeah, that's Oscar Attaway, the freshman, and he gets a great run to get a Mean Green first down. But, you know, this offensive line for North Texas, this is what they do, man. Once you get these big uglies getting up on the field, they want to lean on this defensive front for the Miners.
You've got DeAndre Torrey, Oscar Attaway III, Trey Siggers, the trio of backs that North Texas likes to rotate into the backfield. They didn't have a ton of rushing yards in that first half. Still only have 12 in the ball game. Second down and 7. Attaway again, explosive through the hole. Gains about 5, and it sets up third and manageable. It's really kind of the future feature back for this North Texas program.
Oh, absolutely. And all three of these guys do something absolutely different from one another. And you talk about Oscar Attaway. He really has all of the tools of all these guys. He catches well out of the backfield. He's a great blocker. And again, just the quintessential running back. If you look him up in the Webster's Dictionary, there's Oscar Attaway under running back.
A lot of whistles after this stop. Williams came in to make the tackle and stopped Attaway short of the line to gain on third down. North Texas keeps the offense back out there, though, toward midfield. Decision time for Seth Luttrell. No longer a decision for Seth Luttrell.
And Coach Dana Demmel does not like it. He is giving the referee closest to his sideline an earful because he did not agree with that penalty.
Fresh set of downs as the chains move on the far side. Play action, Ani rolls out to his right, tucks it, and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Nothing more, as the pursuit there was from Stephen Forrester, the redshirt senior out of Dallas Christian High School.
Yeah, they're going to continue to bring that pressure, and they do it with those three guys. And again, when you talk about the Miners and the strength of their team, it's their front seven, and they've relied on these guys heavily, and you see what they did to that running game in the first half.
Hand off to Siggers, and it's Forrester again, combined with Keenan Stewart, but now Siggers pushes the pile. No whistle initially. The play was not dead, and what looked to be a no gain on the carry ends up being a gain of 6.
Well, that turned into a bit of a rugby scrum, and his knee was down. They kept it going. They just didn't call it.
Here's 3 receivers to the near side as Ani checks at the line of scrimmage. Jake Roberts, the tight end, is in the slot. He's got Jalen Darden outside of him, and then Agumakin at the very bottom of the formation.
There's some confusion here.
I'm not exactly sure where the review would be here, because isn't it a judgment call in terms of when a player should be down or whether or not it was the knee?
Well, before they started moving the pile, his knee went down. They just didn't see it, and so maybe that's why. Because, look, I mean, as soon as Siggers gets the ball, he gets caught up, and there they believe that he was down.
That is a good eye. He was down right around the 49-yard line. This will be a great look as well. Yeah, it should be right at the 49. Official booth review for the first time tonight here from Denton. It's a little closer from that angle.
It's close, and you had a guy in the way, but I'm telling you what, anytime you had number 73, Cole Brown, pushing the pile, it's going to move.
So this is the difference between third down and 4 and what would be third and 9 for this North Texas offense. Just 221 yards in the ball game at the moment, 180 through the air for the Mean Green. They've only had 36 yards on the ground, and Seth Luttrell, ever since he took over in North Texas, has revamped the offense. A big part of that was around quarterback Mason Fine for 4 seasons, and then once Fine graduated last year, it's been the running game that has kind of continued that momentum and helped the Mean Green reach 30 points per game again this season.
Yeah, and a lot of it's been the balance that they found in the running game, and I like what they're doing here in the second half and getting Attaway and Torrey and Siggers involved. Just in the first half, they had no flow to this offense, and that's indicative of the amount of time that they had, possession time. You know, they were quick strike all the way through, and again, UTEP was just getting those quality stops against this offense, and so finding that rhythm here in the second half is going to be imperative for the Mean Green.
This review taking some extra moments to talk things over. Once again, this is a difference of 5 yards. They're reviewing whether or not Trey Siggers' knee hit the ground. We'll take another look at it here. See if we can find it right at the 49, right there.
Right there.
Looked like the shin or the knee was down.
Yeah.
Either one constitutes the end of the play.
Yeah, and you know, look, the offensive line, they're definitely going to sell it. They're going to keep pushing the pile because they want to get that extra yardage. But it was down back at.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, before that.
That's the look that the officials should be able to look at and say, hey, it's down right there. They may be looking at a clock issue. There's a lot of different factors that go into this.
They're still looking at it.
That high end zone cam look was probably the best that you're going to get. Has to be indisputable video evidence.
Team is down at the 49-yard line with 13 minutes, 15 seconds left on the clock. It'll be 3rd down and 9 at the 49-yard line. The start of the
So I almost want to bet that it was the clock that they were looking at. They put almost 40 seconds back up on the clock following backing up North Texas 5 yards.
Yeah, well, you know, at least they got that right because they didn't blow the play dead, at least. And that's what a lot of referees are doing. They're just letting it play out and then go back and review it. So that was a great review by these officials. 3rd
down and 9 for North Texas. First drive of the second half, down by 4. Got Jalen Darden in the slot all by himself, and there was a bit miscommunication there from the UTEP defense. They didn't have anybody on him. Ani's going to look that direction. Darden is wide open, and that throw is low, but it is caught, and it's past the first down marker or right at it. The back judge comes forward, and they're saying that that was an incomplete pass, even though every other official on the field said it was a catch.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what defense the Miners were in because it looked like it hit the ground, got underneath him on that, so they're going to rule that an incomplete pass. But, you know, again, we were trying to figure out what defense the Miners were in because they had Jalen Darden out in the slot uncovered, and at the last minute they put a guy over the top of him, but needless to say, 15 yards off the ball.
And Jalen Darden wants to go for it. Thought he might have had a look there, and instead Seth Luttrell elects to send Bernardo Rodriguez and the punting unit out onto the field here on 4th down and 9. And that's one where, if you're Austin Ani, you want that one back. You had a man wide open. That could have gone for extra yardage after the fact as well.
Yeah, you got to make that completion.
Line drive kick off the leg of Rodriguez, and it settles in at about the 12-yard line where Deion Hare-Griffin downs this one. So here's UTEP for the first time in the 3rd quarter. We mentioned quite a bit the success that they had running the football. Still just 47 yards through the air, 4 of 15 passing for Calvin Brownholtz, but a magnificent job of coming in a tough situation. You lose your starting quarterback just 24 hours ago in Gavin Hardison. And Brownholtz has come in and really done a magnificent job of not just fixing up the offense and surviving, but actually leading them to a 4-point lead after that first half.
Yeah, and I'm sure when they went into half, they were talking to him about connecting with Jacob Cowing, because he missed his receiver twice on wide open throws.
They try and get that running game again jump-started. Try and get back to the efficiency they had in the first half. Deion Hankins with his first carry of the 3rd.
Yeah, Hankins just strong. And again, falling forward. Anytime he gets that first contact, it's like he just powers through it. And you're going to need about 2 or 3 North Texas defenders to bring this guy down.
Only got 3 yards there, but it still looked easy from Hankins. North Texas showing a 4-man front. They bring a little added pressure from the linebackers. Brownholtz takes this one and he connects with Cowing on the far sideline, who tiptoes his way out of bounds. May have had some extra yards after contact as he shook off a North Texas defender, but it's a first down on the throw.
And North Texas will gladly give Brownholtz these throws. He's just got to connect on them. And the way that they're playing back off of these receivers, they're just doing everything to load up to stop the run.
North Texas didn't even have a safety back for the majority of that first half, but now they have to put somebody back there just in case. Brownholtz let it fly. He did that a couple times in the first 2 quarters as well. Here's Hankins on the carry. He's wrapped up initially, but still pushes the pile quite a bit to the enjoyment of the far sideline. Tackle made there by Jonathan Pickett.
Yeah, that's just big on big, and that is big boy yardage right there by Deion Hankins. And my goodness, you know, you're talking about on first down picking up 6 yards and a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of experience, but it makes it real easy when it's 2nd and 4.
Look to the far sideline. Awatt in at the tailback position. Shift him back behind Brownholtz. Here he goes, huge hole to run through, but that's closed up by Katie Davis. But now Awatt continues to run the football and push the pile again. This time for a first down. Doesn't matter if it's Hankins or Awatt. These UTEP tailbacks have some moxie to them.
And they copycat the rugby scrum to get a first down. But you're right, Awatt, Hankins, doesn't matter who it is. Both of these guys are capable, but they are strong runners.
That's Katie Davis, the junior out of Ennis, Texas. Honorable mention All-Conference USA selection a year ago.
And they're picking up that yardage, and look at what North Texas is doing. They are loading up that box to stop the run. They are daring Brownholtz to beat him with his arm. And
they're going to try and beat him with the legs instead, but nowhere to go as it is a sack. Loss of 2 on the play. Mikhail Sanders and Gabriel Murphy were the ones in on the stop.
Yeah, senior Mikhail Sanders is saying, no, what we won't do is allow you to beat us with your legs. He is out there, not only him, but also Larry Nixon III, who appears first to slow this running game down.
Larry Nixon III has really had a nice game. Redshirt sophomore, Coach Luttrell very excited about what he brings to Denton. 2 receivers to the top of the formation, as both Cowing and Cooper are out there. Justin Garrett to the bottom of the screen. Brownholtz looked that direction, now still looking downfield, and that one is intercepted again. It's the 3rd pick for the North Texas defense. This time it's Keelan Crosby, his first interception of the season.
Brownholtz has to do a better job right there. And that's where he gets in trouble when he's trying to create. He's avoiding the sack, and he throws into the zone. Don't know if this hits the ground, and they will come back and review this because I think it does. But that's where he gets in trouble, and he's trying to make a play.
The call on the field is an interception. So if it were a booth review, it would have to be, with no doubt, have hitting the ground in order to change possession again. From that top view, it didn't necessarily look like it would have been enough to turn it over. North Texas is back out on the field offensively. Does not look like the booth will take a look at it. Austin Ani back in at quarterback, and they hand it off to Oscar Attaway, and he picks up 5 yards on first down.
Yeah, that's a good pickup by Attaway. And so, look, it's getting to the point with the Mean Green and their offensive line. As guys start going with this quick tempo and getting behind this running game, it's going to be tough for UTEP.
Attaway again, late flag flies. He's got enough for the first down. Forward progress takes him to the 34-yard line. We'll see what the penalty is.
Offense, number 60. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
It's the redshirt freshman Chris Cassidy. That's called for the hold.
Yeah, Chris just gets a handful of jersey here, and it makes it really easy for the referees to call holding on him.
Especially when he's off into the second level. North Texas has the football after the interception from Keelan Crosby, filling in for Cam Johnson at safety. Got to really credit North Texas defensively. 3 interceptions in this ball game. And a handoff up the middle. And just when you thought the penalty pushed him further back, Oscar Attaway gets it back in one chunk carry.
Yeah, that's just an inside read for Attaway. And the Mean Green, they do a good job of creating that space for their running backs.
Why not give it to him again? Now this time he attacks the right side of that offensive line, continues to push the pile, and the running game get going again here for North Texas. And there is a little pushing and shoving after the play. Down at the bottom of the formation, you won't see it here though, Heck.
Yeah, they're fine. They found something over there on the right side, and they keep coming back to it. So whatever it is, it's working.
There's a little pushing between Agumakin and Justin Prince in the secondary off the side of the screen. Austin Ani has a man downfield. It's darted. It's caught into the end zone. There's a new record holder in the North Texas program's history in career receiving yards, and there's a new leader in this ball game.
Just make it look easy, Mr. Darden. Why don't you? Just an out, and Austin Ani, he puts it on the numbers to him. Man, that is a great throw and catch.
Jalen Darden with touchdown grab number 17 of his illustrious North Texas career, season. He has more in his career. That's number 36 here in Denton. The point after is good from Ethan Mooney. North Texas back up on top as the long strike to Jalen Darden puts the Mean Green up by 3. Jalen Darden on the sideline, the new record holder for career receiving yards in North Texas program history, 2,726 yards through the air to Mr. Darden. Passing Johnny Quinn, the Olympian, 2,700 yards and 18 for Johnny Quinn. That record stood since 2006, and in his 48th career game, Jalen Darden did it, and he did it in Jalen Darden fashion on a 32-yard touchdown reception.
He is just rare and special, and the kind of guy that defensive coordinators should never match up man-to-man. And with a depleted secondary like the Miners have, they have got to stop that.
Big hit out of bounds as Don Jr. was escorted out by that North Texas special teams. UTEP trailing by 3 now after the answer from the Mean Green. They have the ball back at the 30-yard line after a quick timeout. We'll be back as the Miners have the football again here from Apogee Stadium. It was an uphill battle for Calvin Brownholtz coming in last-second duty as the starting quarterback tonight for the UTEP Miners. He's now thrown 3 interceptions on 5 of 17 passing, and as they try and get the run game going, they hand it off to Awat to start off this drive. But Heckman, when it comes to Brownholtz, he was managing the game in the first half. Then they kind of let him loose a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what offensive coordinator Mike Canales will draw up for the redshirt sophomore here in the third and fourth quarters.
Well, you know he's going to have to make a play with his arm at some point, and that's dangerous territory for the Miners. But still, he has to get behind this running game. And every time that he's gotten in trouble, it's been because he's tried to create on his own. Just play within yourself, and when you get in those situations, it's okay to throw it away.
Another handoff to Awat. He bounces off of LeBlanc, and it's finished up on the tackle by Larry Nixon the third. LeBlanc shaken up on the play, though, as now he'll go to the ground. As we take another look at this, he was in the backfield really before things got started and then pulled up.
Oh, you don't like to see that, a guy pull up and he doesn't have anyone engaged with him. So hope he's okay, but he grabbed at that knee immediately.
And we talked about Dion Noble at the start of this broadcast, and we haven't seen Noble throughout much of this football game. We were told he was good to go. We were told that even though he had been dealing with a bit of a leg injury, that Noble, all-conference USA sort of player and really one of the leaders on this North Texas defense, was going to be available, but instead it's been mostly Dayton LeBlanc, and now LeBlanc hobbles off to the near sideline, and we hope the best for him moving forward. But North Texas defensively has had to stop the run. That's where UTEP has really found their strength today. 219 yards on the ground compared to just 61 through the air.
Yeah, and they have had some success, and it's been because of what LeBlanc has done in the middle. But him going out is not a good sign, especially with them being already thin at the position. I believe they're going to go to a freshman, Tayshawn Johnson, number 90.
Johnson, another big body in there for the Mean Green. 6'1", 288 pounds out of Killeen High School, the former Kangaroo down in the Super Syntex region of Texas high school football. He's back in there for North Texas. Second down and 11 after the loss of 1 on first down, and the carry to Awat. Brownholtz back to throw, has plenty of time, steps up in the pocket, he's going to tuck it and run. as he slides his way forward to the 44-yard line. Once again, good coverage over the top from North Texas and closing in. Kevin Wood, who had an interception earlier in the game, came up and made the stop.
Yeah, they just got to shadow this guy because they know, even with that read option, that he still has an opportunity within, if there's any coverage, they cover these guys up, he's going to look to create with his legs. And so they want to stop that. And so that's why you see Wood in there, who's able to corral him and not allow him to get a big gain.
We said no Noble. We talked about Cam Johnson. Tyreek Davis, another stout member of that linebacking core for North Texas, not available as well. Wood has stepped up admirably. 3rd down and 6. Brown holds back to throw. Looking way downfield. He's going to let this one fly deep into the secondary. It's undercut, and it is intercepted by North Texas. Deshaun Gaddy comes forward and makes the pick. Fielded it like a center fielder in baseball and reeled it in for the interception. 4th of the game.
Oh, that's the second one for Gaddy. He's looking unstoppable right now. These balls are just floating to him.
So another turnover forced by this North Texas defense, as Deshaun Gaddy, the sophomore out of Arlington Lamar, has his 2nd interception of the season and of the ball game. Talk about one of the more athletic players on the field at any given point, a 4.4 40, and he had to go really nowhere for that one. It came right to him. 2nd interception for him, 4th of the ball game for North Texas. They're back on offense, up by 3. Deshaun Gaddy with his 2nd interception of the night, 4th for this North Texas defense that in their first 8 games of the season had just 3 interceptions as a ball club, and he has 2 tonight. Deshaun Gaddy, the sophomore, really finding a rhythm at the safety position. No Cam Johnson tonight, who had one of those 3 interceptions entering this matchup. But both safeties have a pick, 2 for Gaddy, 1 for Crosby, and North Texas has the football back in their own territory from the 21-yard line here on 2nd down and 8.
Yeah, Gaddy is just a rare athlete. You talk about that 4.4 speed and his special abilities, but man, Brownholtz has just been throwing the ball to him. So it's not like he's had to break on any balls or anything like that, just making those special plays.
And that was a special play on the far side as Ani connects again with Deontay Simpson. Simpson finding a way to be physical on the edge. His 3rd reception of the game is now he's up over 80 yards. Quickly back up to the line of scrimmage is that North Texas offense. They go stacked receivers to the top of the formation, and they run it straight up the gut for no gain, gain of about 3 on the play, right to midfield.
Yeah, Ani just throws a great pass to Simpson, and Simpson's been lighting it up all night. He's finding those little soft spots in the zone and sitting down, and Ani's finding it.
Torrey to the left of Ani, back in the shotgun here from midfield. Here's Torrey trying to bounce his way to the edge. He turns upfield and he dives for the marker, but they say he stepped out of bounds at about the 46-yard line.
I believe that's the first time that we've seen the North Texas offense test this defense laterally. Everything that they've been doing is pretty much north, and it just takes DeAndre Torrey to try and bend one. Defensively, they've been playing sound all night.
Big 3rd down, and there is a little contact, to say the least. And we'll see who jumped first, but I believe this is going to be on UTEP.
Well, that's really easy offsides right there when you have your one tech just push the center over.
Offside. Number 99. 5 yards First down.
Freshman play from the defensive tackle, Tonga Hua. Just came right up and knocked over Manasseh Mose at the line of scrimmage. Like you said, pretty easy to call that one. No, from the 41.
You made it look easy because those 2 names to combine, I was not going to even try and attempt that one. So way to go, Kyle Yeomans.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Man.
Second down and 6 after a gain of 4. North Texas starting to get that running game going again. Still not to 100 yards just yet, but the trio of Siggers, Torrey, and Attaway have gotten them up to 75 yards. Now they completed outside to Darden, and he takes a heavy hit as the hammer's laid down on the edge by Deshaun Trotter. Or excuse me, that's not Trotter, that is Robert Corner III.
Robert Corner, playing the corner position, comes up and makes a really good tackle on Darden.
It's tough to do, especially on first contact. As Oscar Attaway carries this one for about a yard, and it's 4th down again. Now, from this position, it would be about a 50-yard field goal. The long this season for Ethan Mooney was 49, so he could kick it from this distance, but instead, North Texas is going to go for it on 4th and 3. Over the middle, wide open is Jalen Darden. He had the first down, step backwards, and has to fight his way back past the sticks, but he does just that, making the entire North Texas sideline nervous.
You know, when we were talking to Jalen Darden, and we asked him, man, who do you curtail your game after? And he pulled out a bunch of names, man, that all were similar to his style. He said Diggs, but one of the things that he said that I thought was really impressive, he said, I don't trust anyone. I'm going to bet on myself if I'm one-on-one with anybody.
That's exactly what he did here, and he looked like he was short of the markers here, had it there, but then went backwards for a little bit, and he still was able to beat the man to the outside.
Yeah, that's just wonderful, and that just shows his sudden explosiveness and him trusting his abilities to get to the marker.
Second down and 10, a handoff up the middle, little extra speed and an extra burst from Trey Siggers, and the Duncanville prospect gets inside the 15-yard line for a first down scamper.
Yeah, Siggers is just that change of pace that these guys, they start with Torrey, give him a little bit of Attaway, and let Siggers put the cherry on top.
They give it to him again, and he continues to explode. Another gain of about 10. He's just shy of the marker, but they're going to give it to him instead. It's a North Texas first down inside the 4-yard line. The Mean Green trying to extend their lead. Play action to Siggers. Ani rolling out right, has some room, and he bursts forward for the touchdown. North Texas in a rushing score for Austin Ani here in the 3rd.
That's a good job by Austin Ani. You said he needed one of those drives to kind of put his staple or his DNA on this game, and he did that, and this run is a perfect example of it. Instead of handing it off to his running back, he takes it himself and gets a touchdown for North Texas.
4th touchdown for Ani today, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground, just his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season, and it is his longest rushing touchdown of the campaign. And North Texas all of a sudden up by 10, taking advantage of turnovers, 14 points off of 2 interceptions here in the 3rd quarter alone.
Yeah, you can't have too many of those, and again, that's what happens. And you know, the Miners have done a really good job of anytime they have one of those turnovers, they mask it really well. They've come back, they've tried to play defense, but then you have these offensive miscues like they've been having, and finally North Texas is able to take advantage of it.
North Texas has had a lot of success in the 3rd quarter this season. You look at games like Middle Tennessee, 21-0, 21-7 against Houston Baptist back on September 5th. Whenever they've had success in the 3rd quarter, they've ultimately had success winning the football game. On the other side, UTEP has not had success in the 3rd quarter all season long. They've been outscored in this frame 37-3. They've mustered 3 points in the 3rd quarter all season long. Through their first 7 games, they have not scored here in the 3rd tonight. It's a short pooch kick. And UTEP takes it to about the 31.
Yeah, that stat is really tough to blame on your backup quarterback because they've had some type of mental letdown here in the 3rd quarter. I understand the turnovers, it takes all of the air or momentum out of your defense, but again, it should not automatically mean that the opposing team gets points, and you have this stingy defense that now all of a sudden are giving up points.
And they held North Texas to 17 through the first 2 quarters. It's good to see that man back in the ball game as LeBlanc who left earlier with a bit of a stinger in his right leg, is back out on the defensive side of the football for the Mean Green. You know they're happy about that. They're happy about the run defense and how they have stood strong today in the second half. They do so again there as LeBlanc makes a play.
Yeah, they've done a really good job when they want to. Again, they put so many guys down in the block, in the box, because they know that UTEP, the only thing they have is the ability to run.
Brownholtz tucks it and runs, and he goes forward to about the 37. Makes it third down and manageable.
In a situation like this, offensively, Canales just wants to get this guy some confidence, and so getting him some easy throws is going to be imperative.
North Texas player down after the play. I believe that's Katie Davis being attended to at the 25-yard line. It's actually Caleb Colvin who is down. 31-21 our score. Still plenty of game left to play here. And the Mean Green with a 10-point lead, 14 unanswered here in this third frame alone. Austin Ania now up to 12 of 23 passing for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has put it on the money for North Texas offensively, and that North Texas defense is held strong with a couple of interceptions of Brownholtz. As you see Caleb Colvin walk off on his own power. Mentioned how he's battled some injury issues all the way back to the start of his collegiate career, even back into high school a little bit. Third down on the way here for UTEP. Back in the shotgun is Brownholtz following the injury timeout. Awad is the tailback. Cooper, along with Cowing up at the top of the formation. They give it to Awad. He has the first down past the 45-yard line before Mikhail Sanders takes him to the turf.
Yeah, this thing is getting a little chippy on the outside. These guys are barking at each other, and it's typically the usual suspects, and this is Jacob Cowan and Justin Garrett. These guys are chirping a lot out there, and the referees have to get a hold on this, but that is just a big boy run right there for Awad.
You know it's got to be frustrating for some of those receivers of UTEP. Just the 5 completions to 3 different men. Don Jr. has a pair for 29 yards. Jacob Cowing has 2 receptions for 26, and Justin Garrett just that 1 for 6 yards earlier in the ball game. 2 receivers left, offset tight end. It's the fullback in Tupou to the right of the formation. Here's Brownholtz, 5-step drop, looks up over the middle, trying to find his man Cowing, going back to the football, and he couldn't get there. In coverage was Crosby and Larry Nixon the third. Not a terrible throw from Brownholtz, but once again, when he was overthrowing his receivers in the first half, now he's been underthrown.
Yeah, and again, we talk about Canales getting him an easy throw. This isn't it. So it's a straight go route and not able to complete those. And those have been the ones that he's barely missing on, getting that connection with his receivers. They need to stay with this running game. They still have enough time. They have another quarter to go. They should not abandon it.
Here you see the numbers for Brownholtz, his first career start. Tucks in and runs here, has plenty of space up through the middle of the hash marks, explodes forward into North Texas territory, all the way down to the 32-yard line, and all of a sudden, UTEP has the running game going again from their quarterback.
And that's got to be the most frustrating thing for this UTEP team, is because they realize the looks that they're getting. If they had their starting quarterback, they would be able to capitalize, but they just hadn't been able to get the ball there.
Into the third quarter, UTEP outscored 14-0 in that frame, but they are driving in an opportunity to bring it back within a single possession. It's 31-21 here from North Texas. Plenty to come here on ESPN. Ten-point game into the fourth quarter here from Apogee Stadium. North Texas up 31-21. Each team up over 300 yards. Rushing yards for UTEP, 92 from Brown Holtz, 88 from Hankins, and 72 from Awatt. They run it here on first down and a gain of 5 from Hank the Tank, Deion Hankins. And that's really kind of how UTEP is within 10 points here, Heckma, is the ability to stay on the ground.
Yeah, and that's where they have to stay, is on the ground. What they're trying to do, and what they and I understand it, they have to keep this defense honest. And they're trying to show them that, look, we are willing to try and stretch the field on you because they are stacking the box.
Another North Texas player cramping up on the far sideline. We have seen a number of Mean Green defenders go down with a couple injury timeouts. That's Jonathan Pickett down there for the moment. Deshaun Gaddy in the secondary, though. 2 interceptions in the ball game. This North Texas team, whenever UTEP has elected to go to the air, have taken advantage with 4 picks, 2 of which from Gaddy, and he's almost to the point of the entire North Texas defense through their first 7 games of the season when they had just 3 picks.
Yeah, and that's been the difference on this North Texas defense, is their inability to get those turnovers. And when you don't do that as a defense, it just makes these long, methodical drives even longer when you can't get a stop, get a strip, sack, fumble, things like that, that changes the momentum and complexity and switches field position in the game.
UTEP had a 4-point lead at halftime, and then 14 points, all off of turnovers in the third quarter, is how North Texas gained the lead. Brown Holtz letting this one fly, has Cowing in the end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Just the second touchdown grab of 2020 for Jacob Cowing, and it's been itching all game long to be successful. It finally hit for the Miners.
Yeah, Jacob Cowing has been chomping at the bit to get one of these balls. He has run so many go routes, and in this one, man, he comes all the way across the field, and for, you know what? Brown Holtz, he finds him on a kind of back shoulder fade. Don't know if that was underthrown or not, just based off the balls that we've seen all night. But that is a great catch by Jacob Cowing.
First career touchdown pass for Calvin Brown Holtz. He had a touchdown on the ground earlier, but now he has one through the air for the Miners. And the point after is up and good, and it's back to a 3-point game here in the fourth quarter. UTEP and the Miners will just not go away. They get rid of their third quarter woes, and into the fourth quarter, a touchdown pass makes this a ball game. The 29th all-time meeting between North Texas and UTEP, and UTEP has had a significant outpour from Jacob Cowing, just with the 3 receptions, that long 28-yard touchdown reception. Good enough for his 9th catch of over 20 yards and his first reception of over 20 yards. That goes for a score here in 2020. He had been close on a couple of them early on, Heckma Harrison, but he finally connected. And North Texas on the return has a bit of steam as John-Hare Griffin reeled that one in. It takes it all the way to the 38-yard line. So North Texas with good field position, but not until after that 28-yard touchdown pass from Brown Holtz to Cowing.
Yeah, that was one of those throws that Brown Holtz had to make, and he got it to his big play receiver and Jacob Cowing. And we talked to Dana Dimmel about him, and again, he said high praise for his sophomore wide receiver, that he reminded him a lot of Jalen Darden, and you can see that in the way that he accelerates and is able to catch the ball. That was perfect for these guys, and again, that's just giving this backup quarterback more confidence.
That's just a second touchdown grab of the season. It was a big one, though, that brought UTEP back within 3. Quick completion here from Austin Ani out to the edge as he finds Deontay Simpson. Simpson been the most active North Texas receiver in terms of grabs outside of Jalen Darden, as that's his 4th, as he's now over 100 yards. Quick carry up the middle for a first down. North Texas gets back to midfield.
Yeah, defensively for UTEP, they're going to have to stay in this cover 2 look. And it's keeping them safe. I mean, one of the things that they're not doing is not giving up those gas plays in the run. But again, where they're losing is with those plays when any time that Ani is able to connect with one of his receivers.
Hayward came in and laid down a lick on Oscar Attaway. Attaway, the leading ball carrier for North Texas today. There you see just 111 yards on the ground, and majority of those have come from Attaway as he's up to 59. Second down and 6. Play action. Ani looking for Simpson. Simpson was held, and there's the late flag. Plenty of contact, plenty of jersey grabbed right on that near sideline from the UTEP defender in corner the third, and that'll go for 15 yards.
Robert Corner, I am not mad at you, because if you don't hold Simpson right there, he's going to take that for 6. And so he does what he has to do because he realized he's beat.
Number 18, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Simpson, you're exactly right, but that was a great read from Austin Ani at the quarterback spot. He saw his man, had man coverage on the edge, and had a couple steps on his defender, and elected to throw it up. It results in 15 yards. North Texas, much like they have all season, moving the ball at ease. Here's Trey Siggers, almost had the ball ripped out from underneath him, but he gains about 5.
Yeah, I got to tell you that for the Miners, man, and defensive coordinator Mike Cox, he has a ton of belief in his guys. I mean, he's leaving them already depleted secondary man-to-man versus these really good wide receivers from North Texas.
Deep into enemy territory, North Texas up to 370 yards of total offense. They're going to have more here. Here's Trey Siggers, one man to meet behind him. He does get caught at the 6-yard line, but he bursts it open, his longest run of the night.
Well, just when you say they don't give up those big gash plays, Trey Siggers say, what did you say? He busts one for a ton of yards.
Siggers in the backfield again. They give it to him. He has a hole, but it's closed up quickly, and he reaches forward to about the 5-yard line. It was Forrester in on the tackle, able to plug that B gap pretty fast.
Second down goal from the 5.
Yeah, this is just a good counter play, and they bring that guy across, and man, they make it look really easy, because once Siggers gets to the second level, he's gone.
Play action to Siggers, back of the end zone, trying to find Simpson. Did he get a foot down? No, he did not. Out of bounds as he knocked over the pylon with his right foot, but it wasn't enough to get it into the green turf.
Oh, I'd like to have a look at this one, because it looks like that he has an opportunity to come down with it, but no, he comes down out of bounds. He kicks the pylon.
Just out of reach, a couple inches from his second touchdown grab of the night. Darden has 2, Simpson has 1. North Texas on their 5-yard line, third down over the middle, and that one's knocked away. Trying to find Darden, and a late flag flies in. You thought it was great coverage from the Miners. Austin Ani, of course, pleading his case for a flag. We'll see which side this is on. It could have been offensive pass interference on Darden because there was some contact.
Pass interference. Number 22. Foul turn, ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Wow, that looked like, I really thought Josh Caldwell made a good play on the ball. Didn't look early at all. Looked like the contact got there simultaneously when the ball was. So I don't know. That's just a tough break for UTEP.
Redshirt senior Josh Caldwell just a bit early. They put Darden in motion. Now they send him back out wide. They get it to him in the flat. He has all the room in the world, and he waltzes into the end zone. It's his third touchdown grab of the night. Number 18 on the season. Number 37 of his incredible Mean Green career.
That's easy work for Jalen Darden. I mean, one-on-one on the outside, just one, look, like you said, I will bet on myself 100 times out of 100, and you see it right here. He gets out there, and there's no way possible for anyone to get a hand on him. And corner tried to, but it's just an easy touchdown.
Mooney remains perfect on the season on his point afters, in North Texas back up by double digits. 38-28 our score. Jalen Darden doing Jalen Darden things here in Denton. North Texas up by 10 here in the fourth quarter alongside Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans here for ESPN's College Football. Little Friday night action here from Apogee Stadium. Temperature dropping now underneath. It's 55 degrees at the moment under the lights. It was a beautiful day to start. Gotten a little chilly as the sun set. North Texas has certainly been heating up on the offensive side of things as the kick will go into the back of the end zone, and UTEP will bring it out to the 25-yard line. But Jalen Darden, semifinalist for the Bolitnikoff Award, 6 receptions tonight, 125 yards and 3 touchdowns. In 3 games against UTEP, he has 9 total touchdowns, Heckman.
I think he loves playing against the Miners, and I'm telling you, he makes it look so simple on this one where he catches it on the outside and guys are trying to get his hands on it. He wears number 1, but he throws up 2 fingers and says, peace out.
That's one of the things about Darden. He's not the biggest receiver on the edge, 5'9", 174 pounds, but he's elusive. He's a film junkie, and he's somebody who knows how to find the holes in an opposing defense. And it's not just the Miners that he has all the success against. He has 18 touchdown grabs this season, most in the country. Lofted ball from Brownholtz, and a late opportunity from John Davis to maybe get his first interception of the night. It would have been number 5 for this North Texas defense, but Brownholtz sailed it, and there's a late flag. Could this be intentional grounding? There was not an orange jersey in the vicinity. I thought it was just a miscommunication.
Yeah, it looked like it was, but they're going to get him here.
Illegal substitution. Offense. 12 men formation. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Have a look at it, but 12 men in the formation was the call. And trouble with the substitutions, and they'll retry it on first down, but 5 yards backwards.
That's the second time that they've caught the Miners that way with the illegal substitution. And so right now they're just trying to get their offense going. But going back to Dart, man, when we interviewed him, man, he's such a charismatic and charming guy, and you just pull for a guy like that. You know he's smart. He talked about the game slowing down for him because of all of the film study that he does. He wants to know how defenses are trying to strategize and stop him. But anytime you go man-to-man on a guy like him, he's going to take it to the house every time.
And he has done that 3 times tonight. Deion Hankins has 2 touchdowns of his own. He gets the carry here. North Texas defensively really kind of putting the clamps down on UTEP here in this second half. UTEP had 21 points at the halftime break and just the 7 at the start of this fourth quarter, and that's all they've been able to muster since the teams went to the locker rooms.
Yeah, they're playing it a lot better now. And you see what Nixon III is doing. He's slowing it down, especially with this zone run, and he's staying in those running lanes. He and KD Davis just not allowing for Hankins to get that easy cutback yardage like he was getting in the first half.
Hankins still 5 yards from triple digits. As now Brownholtz tries to get out of the pocket, and he can't do that. Again, it's Wood. We keep calling his name tonight, the sophomore. More than doubled his numbers from last year in the first 7 games of the year. Well, he's continuing to hike those numbers up in his sophomore campaign.
I tell you what, a kid out of Converse Justin, and you know he comes from a solid program. He's a solid tackler, that's for sure. Named Conference USA Freshman of the Year, and we've called his name quite a bit today because he's making big plays just like that.
Yeah, on that all-conference freshman team a year ago, and man, he is as good as they come and as versatile as they come on that defensive side of the football. Pressure comes here from North Texas. Looks like a screen, but once again, miscommunication between quarterback and tailback. Awatt was the intended target, but the ball falls to the turf, and it's 4th down. UTEP has no choice but to punt this one away.
Yeah, that is the first time that they've tried and attempted a screen. They had it blocked up pretty well, but just the inability of Brownholtz to deliver just a simple throw to his running back and brings up 4th down, and they have to punt.
Joshua Sloan to boot this one away, the freshman out of Melbourne, Australia. 3 punts of over 50-plus yards this season. He's got a strong leg. He's kicking this one away to Jalen Darden. Darden backing his way up. As this one takes one hop and just throws on the brakes right at the 35-yard line. North Texas and the offense back out on their side of things. Over 400 yards already from a top 10 offense in the country. They'll have more right after this. $254 yards on 14 of 26 passing, 4 touchdowns for that man right there. Austin Ani, the redshirt sophomore quarterback, came in following the first drive turnover of the Mean Green back in the first quarter hasn't really looked back at all, Heckma Harrison. He's thrown the ball extremely well.
Yeah, it's all about that balance. And you see what they did in the second half, coming out trying to get this running game established with Torrey Attaway and Siggers, and I think that's made the difference in getting him that confidence and balance in this offense so that he can confidently make those throws.
Trey Siggers, who has been the feature back here in the second half for North Texas. The Mean Green have him lead the way on the rushing category, up to 72 yards. Oscar Attaway behind him with 59, and then Torrey has 20. That's what you see. It's every week it's a different player in the backfield for North Texas offensively that brings the numbers. Here's Ani, tries to fit that one in a tight window, looking for Darden on the far sideline, and it falls incomplete.
Yeah, that's a good job by UTEP, making sure that they get a safety over the top of Jalen Darden so that he doesn't escape for another one of those massive touchdowns.
Darden, 3 touchdowns tonight. Having some words with James off to the side after that incomplete pass. Hand off to Siggers, and he takes it past midfield. This is a North Texas offense that has over 500 yards per game. They're currently sitting at about 420. Currently 8th in the country in terms of yards per game. Over 4,100 yards entering the day. They're now up over 450 yards, or excuse me, 4,500 yards on the season. There you see some of the numbers tonight, 6.5 yards per play. That's pretty much right on average for the Mean Green, and this one's complete as well. Jalen Darden off to the races, 4 touchdowns for the Bolitnikoff Award semifinalist.
Jalen said, "You want some more? I'm gonna give you some more." He dropped that one, and they were chirping at him. He said, "You know what? I'm gonna call my play again." He gets it, and he breaks that thing right back inside. Man, this guy is so smooth in his ability in open field to just run by guys. I mean, that is all Jalen Darden, man. Wonderful job by this guy, man. He is as advertised.
It is really pretty incredible. He had 4 receiving touchdown games of his career. A new career high for Austin Ani with his 5th touchdown pass in North Texas, breaking things open here in the 4th. Stop me if you've heard this before. Jalen Darden touchdown reception. And North Texas extends their lead 44-28. Receiving touchdown number 4 for Mr. Darden. We'll take a look at some of his numbers following this kickoff from Zane Gonzalez. But really it has been sensational what he has brought his entire career here at the University of North Texas, but even more so tonight. A career night for Jalen Darden, and that's saying something. As there's a big hit on the near sideline. Kyla Powell comes out of nowhere and lays down the wood. The redshirt senior out of Argyle just comes flying out of nowhere to lay the hit.
That's one of those get down and lay down hits right there, man. Don't be tiptoeing to the sideline.
You see Jalen Darden's numbers tonight, 7 receptions, $175 through the air, and oh yeah, by the way, 4 touchdowns. It's the 6th time in his career he's had at least 3 touchdowns, the 4th time in 2020, and now he's up to 19 touchdowns on the season in a little bit under 9 games. 9 games by the end of this one.
Anybody talking about this guy's height or size or anything like that just don't know football. He is a football player, and his ability in open field is just uncanny. Some of the things that he does with the ball in his hands. I mean, you go man-to-man, he'll beat you. You go safety over the top, he'll beat you. I believe you put triple team this guy, he's going to beat you. That's why he is the record setter here in North Texas.
Best receiver maybe in the history of North Texas football. I think that's a pretty easy argument you can have between Mean Green faithful here in Denton. In terms of what he's done on the field, it has been pretty much unmatched. Now the career leader in receiving yards, touchdowns, and he continues to just put on a show. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a finalist for the Bolitnikoff Award whenever things come down to it. Lots of competition there with guys like Kyle Pitts from Florida, the tight end, and Devonta Smith from Alabama, but ultimately Jalen Darden is right in that mix, and he should be for what he brings to the table. UTEP, on the other hand, offensively, has kind of grinded to a halt here in the second half. They put together one really nice drive toward the end of the third quarter and capped it off with a touchdown to start the fourth quarter, Heckma. But the run game just hasn't been there from a chunk yardage perspective like it was in that first half.
Yeah, UTEP is their handicap, and they're playing with a guy that, hadn't had any first team reps at all.
Now he looks downfield looking for Cowing, and that one is caught. And just when you think UTEP might be laying down, they get back up and they find a big time completion. It's the 10th time this season, a catch over 20 yards for Mr. Jacob Cowing.
Yeah, Jacob Cowan is still in this game, and he is a deep ball threat, and that's just a good way to lay it out and let your playmaker go and get it, and he does it.
Beat Keelan Crosby there, and really this UTEP offense, anytime they've gotten into the red zone, they've been able to put points on the board. 3 of 3 when inside the 20-yard line tonight. Put Hankins in motion in the backfield. Brown holds back to throw again. Looks off to his right, delivers this one into the end zone, and that one's caught. And UTEP trying to claw their way back into it. It's the second touchdown grab of the night for Jacob Cowing, and the sophomore keeps UTEP and the Miners alive.
Yeah, and this is on North Texas. I mean, they're going with a softer coverage, and Jacob Cowan is just making it look easy with this vanilla coverage that he's receiving.
This is significant because North Texas, after that last Darden touchdown grab, missed the extra point, so a 2-point conversion here would put UTEP back within a score with plenty of time here. Chance to make it an 8-point game. Brown holds back in the shotgun, rolling out to his right. Had a man in motion, has plenty of time to throw. They go back the other direction, and that one is caught in the end zone by Trent Thompson, the junior tight end. Found his way open, and that was a brilliant play call from Mike Canales and that offensive staff to make it a one-possession ball game.
Yeah, just getting a little bit of misdirection, but this is going back to the Jacob Cowing touchdown, and that's just a laser from Calvin Brownholtz. He puts that thing on the money.
And so, North Texas, trying to run away with things, all of a sudden have themselves right back in the hunt. And for some reason, they just put up an extra point on the board. There's the numbers for Cowing tonight. 5 receptions, 118 yards. And that is something that really could have been higher numbers over the course of the game. A couple of them just didn't fall his direction.
Yeah, there's been a few that have just been miscommunications and overthrows, and here we go. I mean, UTEP just won't go away. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the score was 44.
It was.
Okay.
And I think it was a clock operator mistake that actually makes this a 9-point game. So Mooney actually made the extra point. That's a guy who hadn't missed all season long, so it would have been surprising to see the miss. But caught in the hubbub of a Jalen Darden touchdown grab, number 4, the clock operator missed it. I thought I had just missed the signal from the point after attempt. But it is a 9-point game, so still 2 possessions here. And UTEP elects to kick this away. There's a grab from Trey Siggers on the return, and he is upended at the 30-yard line. Mentioned the yardage from North Texas offensively, averaging just under 34 points per game, but now up over 40 again. And whenever the 40 burger comes to town here in Denton, it's usually pretty happy for Seth Luttrell and company. 19-0 when they hit that 40-point plateau, and they've done so again tonight, trying to make it 20-0.
So you're saying we may as well go to the cars?
Well, you thought that right. Before UTEP scored a touchdown and had the extra 2 points tacked on at the end of it.
You know, we talked about this North Texas defense at the beginning, and just them being the Achilles heel of this ball club and the amount of points that they give up. And so it's just one of those things that's coming back to revisit them.
Siggers almost broke another long run that time. Shoelace tackle saved what could have been. Siggers continuing to run toward the end zone. Had one man in between him and 6. Instead, it's just a gain of 7 here on first down. And a free play on the way from North Texas. They try and take advantage, but they stop things before Darden makes a reception off to the side.
Kelton Moss is a huge human being at 6'2", 315. They make that offside look very, very simple for the referees out here.
He did the right thing. Just keep going. If you jump a little bit early, just continue forward and don't allow things to compound on its top of itself. That was a guy who's just been itching to play football. Of course, UTEP not playing since week 11. Back on November 14th was their last outing, and that was against UTSA. Kelton Moss tweeting out back in November, can we just play a game again? Well, they got an opportunity to play today. He makes a tackle here on Siggers. Another nice gain of 5 on first down, and North Texas continues to run the football well with their Duncanville product.
Now, I like what UTEP is doing. I mean, they've gotten burned so many times on Jalen Darden. What they're doing now is they are just taking a safety and putting him over the top. We're just not going to allow this to happen again. So finally, I guess, after how many more touchdowns do you have to get before you say, okay, we got to double team this guy?
Darden is at the top of the formation. A career-high 4 touchdowns. Could go to 5 if he wanted to. That would be interesting from a record standpoint. And another nice Siggers run to about the 47-yard line. It moves the chains, and the drive continues here for North Texas. And each time those chains move, it's just more clock churning off for the Mean Green to try and put this one on ice here in the fourth quarter.
And I love the way they use these 3 guys. You get Siggers that comes in for a few snaps. He gets a few first downs, and then they double down back on Oscar Attaway. And when Attaway is done, they come back with DeAndre Torrey. So they're always keeping the defense off balance with their rushing attack.
4:25 and counting. Ani back in the shotgun. They hand it to Oscar Attaway, and he's going nowhere. Got to give a lot of credit to UTEP. The team, like I said a moment ago, had not played a game in 30 days before taking the field tonight. Still a lot of uncertainty around this one after it was originally scheduled to be in El Paso on Halloween. And then it's rescheduled to in Denton. 5 straight road games for UTEP. They haven't played at the Sun Bowl since they took on ACU back in week 3. And there you see the scheduling woes for UTEP. North Texas finally getting that one rescheduled and played today, but it took moving that game to Denton in order for it to get played.
Yeah, that's tough for your ball club. And you talk about the mental health of your team. How do you tell these guys to continue to come to practice for games that you don't know that you're going to play? So, again, 30 days later, here we are.
Timeout here for UTEP as they burn their first here of the second half. And really a couple more first downs is all it's going to take for the Mean Green to improve to 4-5 on the season. North Texas 2-4 here at home. They had lost 2 in a row in conference play, but they've won their last 3 matchups with UTEP. But UTEP 0-3 in conference play, about to be 0-4 should they not muster a comeback here in the next couple of moments. But without Gavin Hardison, their quarterback, and see some of the series history, this one about as unique of a battle out of the 29 meetings between these two teams as you'll ever see.
Yeah, this is the one. I mean, this is the year that both of these ball clubs, both head coaches have talked about it just being one hell of a year to try and get your squad prepared to play every week. And so, look, if the Mean Green is able to pull this one out, this is going to be a quality victory for this program.
Ani back to pass. He is pressured from behind. Amahuli forcing Ani out of the pocket, and he reaches for the first down at the 37. He does get out of bounds, and it does move the chains.
Praise Amahuli is going to cry about that because he had a sack, and I don't know what he was thinking, if he was already counting that one in the bank, but he had to actually complete it for it to be a sack. I mean, it doesn't get any closer than that. I mean, not only that, he had an opportunity for a strip sack fumble as well. He just whiffs on it.
So Ani able to avoid the sack, and he gets out of play to the near sideline. Clock continues to run underneath 3 minutes to play. And Ani to Darden. So dangerous whenever he has the ball in his hands. Doesn't matter if he has space or not. He can make space. But this time he only gains about one. Actually lost one on the reception. And that's enough for Jalen Darden to break the career receptions mark. Casey Fitzgerald with 229 step aside. It's now 230 career receptions for Jalen Darden. That's a record that has stood since 2008. No longer, as Darden has the one final play on a night he will never forget.
I wish there were more people in the stands so this guy could come out and take a bow. He's had one heck of a career here in Denton.
The NFL should be waiting for a man like that. And got to credit Seth Luttrell for picking up Jalen Darden. He was a day before signing day addition to the North Texas roster. He was a last-second signee, somebody who had an offer to UNLV, had that taken away, and now he's quite possibly the best receiver in program history.
Yeah, he talked about that and just talked about how when UNLV rescinded the offer, how it hurt him. You know, for no fault of his own, he wasn't able to play his senior year, but this kid has a quality story, and his story is all about, you know, the adversity that he's faced. He talks about his father passing and how that motivated him and made him just go into go hard mode, and he's showing that. He's all of the things that this kid does on the field and off the field for North Texas is admirable, and I just love the kid and just talking to him about what the future may hold. And it's funny, you talking to him, you just ask, who do you model your game after? What do you say? Oh, Stephon Diggs.
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. I'm saying to myself, okay, well, Julio is 6'3". He's a much bigger guy, but he doesn't see 5'9". He walks around like he is 6'3", 6'4".
He plays that way as well, as Ani is sacked from Amahuli from behind. Ball on the turf, and it's picked up by North Texas. As the Mean Greens, Cole Brown was able to hop on top of that loose football, but Amahuli forces a fumble on the sack. It's sack number 8 of the season. And for a guy who is 6th in the NCAA in sacks per game, he has that one taken away via an offside penalty.
Oh my God! I mean, he had an opportunity. He had an opportunity to get a sack strip fumble like that before, and he missed. But you talk about a guy with an 82-inch wingspan and 6'3", 240 pounds. Hey, the NFL will be knocking for a guy like that.
Sure will. Redshirt sophomore, plenty of time left in El Paso for him to be an all-time program great for the Miners. Still a lot of work to do for Dana Dimel. 3-4, about to be 3-5, and really this one hurts from UTEP's perspective, as a win would have pushed them to 500 and got them to bowl eligible. But as the timeout's called here from UTEP, they force it to 4th down, and it's back to the drawing board for the Miners. And we're trying to find their first bowl bid since 2014, and that doesn't certainly look like it's the case, at least this season.
Yeah, Coach Dimel knew that tonight would be tough, and he said it. You know, we're a 10-point underdog, and we know that we're going into their house into a dogfight. And obviously he couldn't have anticipated when he talked to us that he would be without his quarterback. But, again, this is a tough-fought battle for his team. They were just shorthanded, and UNT in a lot of ways took advantage of that. Defensively, you know, look, these guys have got to get more – they have more confidence in this game, and they have to play a lot better going into next year. And Seth Luttrell talked about that, getting more confidence for a group that has just been battered and given up a ton of yards. And 2020 hasn't done them any favors, especially with a new defensive coordinator not able to implement his plan. They didn't have any camps. They didn't have any of that, any spring ball. And for a team like this, those types of opportunities are imperative.
So North Texas actually lining up for a field goal attempt. This one from 49 yards out. This would tie Ethan Mooney's long this season. Made from 49 earlier this year. This one has the distance. It is up, and it is no good. Off into the left. So a chance to make it a 12-point lead for the Mean Green. It remains at 9. And Mooney now just 7 of 13 on the season. He had plenty of distance, but just hooked it.
Yeah, a little left, but like you said, plenty of leg in it. Now, with 1 minute and 26 seconds left, trying to make up this 9-point lead, if you're UTEP, you have to strike quickly.
Really the go-to man to strike quickly is Jacob Cowing. Up over 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns tonight. Brownholtz back to throw, has to step up in the pocket, has plenty of time and has an open receiver. It's caught. It's Don Jr. who works around a defender. He's up past the 40 to the 35 before he's pushed out of bounds. And UTEP has something cooking. Clock stopped at 1:15.
Yeah, North Texas in that prevent defense, playing off and allowing these guys to run underneath or run through these zones, and just got to credit, the quarterback for Brownholtz for finding this guy, number 26, Walter Don Jr.
Redshirt senior out of Mesquite Poteet, up here in the DFW area. Home game for him. 1:15 left on the clock. Play clock down to 7 as Brownholtz tries to change the play. 5, 4, running out of time, and they snap it with 1 second on the play clock. Looking near side, that one is complete and a hit. But this one continues to run the clock. Justin Garrett with just his 2nd reception of the ball game.
Oh, he is lucky he didn't get that one picked off, because most of the time what spells for disaster is throwing the ball late and across the body, and he got away with one right there.
Brownholtz underneath a minute to play. Plenty of time to throw it as he now has to rush out of the pocket. Coverage was there for North Texas. Has some extra space to run. He's past the 1st down marker. Clock will stop as the chains reset.
Yeah, they've gotten down here pretty quickly with 42 seconds left in this ball game. They're going to clock it and get a stop on the clock in 39 seconds.
So down by 9 after the missed field goal. We would need at least a field goal and a touchdown here. So you see the long run here from UTEP. Do you consider kicking a field goal here, Hector?
Well,
you have to make it a 1-possession game.
Well, you have to at some point, especially if you can't get into the red zone here pretty quickly. You got to take your points and pray for the onside.
Going to have the onside no matter what. UTEP still very much so in this ball game, though. Brownholtz from the 12-yard line. 2nd down after the spike. Rolls out to his left. Doesn't have a man downfield. Pump fakes, tries to get out of bounds, and he does just that, stopping the clock at 31 seconds, and he gains 2 yards.
Yeah, that's a good job by the Mean Green defense, just keeping these guys in front of them, but we may have a costly penalty.
Penalty, moving UTEP closer to the goal line, and that's the kind of stuff a coach will just be driven nuts about.
Yeah, you get a couple of choice words on your walk to the sideline from your coach if you do something like that, especially when it's just uncalled for.
So 1st down from the 5. Quarterback draw up the middle. Brownholtz is going to find the end zone, and it's a 1-possession football game, and a couple extra words following the score for UTEP, but an onside kick away from really making this thing interesting.
Yeah, they made it interesting. Now, the big thing to look at is how much time they have on the clock. They do this, and they still have 26 seconds left.
Now, they are out of timeouts. As we take a look at the touchdown scamper, just a QB draw straight up the gut.
Yeah, there goes the chirp, and he gets a big he runs right over Gaddy, who has 2 interceptions on him. And I don't know what he says to him other than, hey, you got me twice, and here I got you 1 time.
2nd rushing touchdown of the night for Brownholtz. Has 2 through the air, and the point after is good. So a 2-point football game here with 26 seconds remaining. An onside kick could set things up for UTEP and the Miners.
Yeah, that's a strong run by Brownholtz, man. He goes He goes 6'2", about 230 pounds, and he brings it with him.
So the line to gain for UTEP, should they get this onside kick, they would only need to get to the 30-yard line of North Texas. Gavin Beckley, the junior kicker, like I mentioned earlier, originally out of McKinney. All-conference honorable mention last season. He nailed a 47-yard field goal at Texas. He's 0 of 1 from 50+. He did attempt one from over 50 yards, but he's 2 of 3 from 40 or more. So the onside kick comes first, but afterwards you would only need to gain about 35 yards in order to really set things up for what would be a game-winning kick.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is absolutely a chance. But first, Beckley will have to be the hero on the onside kick. Hands team on for both sides as the ball game comes down to this for UTEP. And it's going to be landed on by Simpson, and North Texas will come out victors as they'll survive here from Apogee Stadium. Simpson just able to land on the loose football.
Well, the defense did everything they could to try and make this interesting at the last minute, but Simpson saves the day. He gets on that ground ball for the hands team, and man, this is going to be a good victory for Mean Green.
You know, this hurts for UTEP. Like I talked about, their chance to get back to 500 ripped out from underneath them. You'd have to think that if Gavin Hardison was in the ball game, things would be different, but UTEP actually outgained North Texas by the end of this one. But Jalen Darden's 4-touchdown night, a career night for him, as he now holds all major receiving records for the Mean Green program, and North Texas will conclude their season at a 4-5. Mark, one final kneel down from Austin. Ani and the Mean Green will take this one from Apogee Stadium and improve to 4-5 as the 2020 regular season comes to an end here from Denton. Seth Luttrell and company happy in this one. And Jalen Darden, just incredible as always.
Yeah, that's the story of the game. I mean, you're going to look at some statistics that looks way off, time of possession, yardage, and things like that. Don't pay attention to that. The only thing you need to look at is the statistics on number one, and that's Jalen Darden, who had a fantastic evening.
It has really been a fun season here from North Texas, but the Mean Green survive at Apogee Stadium. So, for Heckma Harrison, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Denton, Texas, where the final score is 45-43. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. Thanks for listening. This has been a presentation of ESPN.